What is up, everyone? So, the air quotes collab is here. There's, a few things to talk- Loud! Oh my god, we're all dead. Anyway, few things to talk about. But one random thing, chat, that I find kind of odd. Yeah, rip ears. I always see, like, Reddit posts and YouTube videos and streamers talking about it, right? Like people that spend way too much money on Gacha games, right? I don't understand it. Like, am I alone here? I have never, and I mean never, felt any kind of like compelling reason to want to spend money on these games. Like, actually, quite the opposite. Like, generally, I'm like, these games are being so lame that I have absolutely no reason to give them money, right? Like, I literally don't understand it. The only Gacha game I like want to give money to is Arc Knights, but they're so free-to-play friendly, there's literally no reason for me to give them money, like, under any circumstance. So, you know, that's a thing. But I fundamentally do not understand people that are sitting here, like, spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on these games to just farm. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I want to do a boss fight. I don't care if there's new units or not. I want to have a video game to play. And then this is where there's a bridge here. There's a segue. The reason I bring this up, chat, is because I have noticed that the people defending this game are the people spending too much money on it. And long story short, they're idiots, and you don't actually need to respect their opinions because they don't know what they're talking about. It's like people like that, and then people that are like emotionally invested in a company, which there are people like that, which is insane. But right, like that's like, it's fucking dumb, right? They've made billions of dollars and they can't add a animation update. So we'll get to it, chat, but they put Lancer Jolter in this, and she is a recolor of Avenger Jolter, except with a spear instead of a flag, and she has the exact same animations, which look about as good as you would expect. Oh, it's she must die immediately or something, because I skimmed through some of the story later and she like never shows up. I guess they're just using her as a punching bag here. Yeah, sunken cost fallacy. It gets a lot of people. But like, why do people spend so much money on these games anyway, man? I don't understand. Like, you don't need to in order to have a decent roster of units you like. Okay, so let's talk about the first thing. Why does Raiko look like Shootin, and then with massive anorexia, like she looks ill? Like I very much do not like this artist's, you know, female designs, and this is one of my least favorite ones. It's just so weird. And like, why does Raiko look like Shootin anyway? Right, like, what the fuck? They love just killing off characters just to show off how badass the new thing is. Feels very Dragon Ball Z, man. Like when Cell is in was it the whatever hell is in Dragon Ball Z and he gets one shot by Pycon, right? It's so dumb. Really making Home Away Gozen fans happy there. And yeah, she's a different class than in Samurai Remnant, and she's got a different design, and none of her stages are like with the armor. And I don't think she's even from the same universe. I think it's like a different version of her or something like that. It's some weird crap. And I've seen so many people hype for her though. Like a lot of people are like losing their minds, and apparently wallets. Yeah, she's not actually the one from Samurai Remnant, I'm pretty sure, which makes you wonder why it's the Samurai Remnant collab, but, you know. Yeah, not really a fan of her final ascension, but we'll get into that. We have plenty to talk about as we go here. Yeah, right now they have a master as a servant, and then they've got an alternate version of who she goes in, so. The elf. Unfortunately, the elf's NP left much to be desired, but I guess that's the same here. So another thing, and what I actually find, I don't care about this, right? It's a dumb video game, and I don't like the cast very much of like the main cast. I like Romani, but that was about it, right? Now, a lot of the characters from like other Fate stuff I like, clearly, but like the main cast of F, like I don't care about Nash, Da Vinci, right? They're pretty lame, to be honest, right? I don't really care about them. I don't identify with like the main character at all. I don't give a fuck, right? But what I find funny about this is actually the defenders of this, because I just think this is stupid and it has nothing to do with like caring about the main cast. So there's a part where the what's her name, the new Saber, whatever the fuck her name is, where she's like the player character, right, is weak, and then how you say his name, Iori or whatever the fuck, MC boy, is like, oh, don't be too hard on him, he doesn't know strife, he grew up in peaceful times, right? But he can at least fight like a warrior or something like that. That's pretty much what he says. And a lot of people were like, that's really fucking stupid, because like all you've been doing for like the last, 9 years is nonstop fighting and fighting Zeus and Ort and everything else, and all the crazy singularities and events and all this stuff. And then what I find funny though is I don't really care, right? I don't give a fuck about the MC or any of that stuff. I just think the writing is really lazy, because it's like a quick way to try to act like, look how tough this guy is. He's grown up in war his whole life, right? Again, Dragon Ball Z effect, trying to like give this guy street cred without actually having to write anything. But what is funny is all these people are like defending the line and stuff and acting like it's not stupid, because, oh well, the Chaldea master had a normal childhood before going into all this combat stuff. Like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything, right? Like that yes, fighting Ort a lot simpler because you had a normal child. What? Right? And it's oppression Olympics, right? These people are like, oh, his life was so much harder than your life. You don't, like, it's just stupid, right? The example I gave was, this is like someone that was born homeless talking to a war veteran that's become homeless and telling him his life is so easy because he wasn't born homeless. Like he has any idea, right? And the reverse of that, the soldier doesn't really have any business saying the opposite either. It's just dumb. Who cares, right? This like oppression Olympic stuff I just think is so stupid. But again, the line is kind of just a throwaway, like cheap writing tactic to try to make you be like, oh, this guy's a badass, oh, he's been through so much more than you have, blah, 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 right? It's just like a cheap writing tactic, right? It doesn't really mean anything. But just the people defending it, right, and like the hoops they go through is it's just dumb, right? It's like, it's a dumb line, it's a dumb thing to say. It's just silly, dude. But yeah, great event so far. Yeah, I know. As far as I'm aware, I'm not like super familiar. I know he eventually was like adopted by bandits and stuff, but I think that's when he was older, right? Like he wasn't born, right, in a horrible situation, right? Like it's just, yeah, mental gymnastics. But yeah, the whole oppression Olympics thing is just dumb. You shouldn't assume your life is harder than someone else's life, even if you've gone through really bad things, right? And they shouldn't assume either, right? And anyone that does that is just an idiot. Thankfully, most people are like, yeah, it's a really dumb line. That is most people. There's just a few, copium inhalers for FGO that act like, oh, it makes total sense. Yeah, FGO's story is really hard to take seriously after the whole, we're right before the finale, filler arc for 2 years, at least, maybe more. I will remind everyone, we got one story in all of 2023, and it was filler. And we still don't have another one. So, yeah, like, what the fuck, right? It's just dumb. Man, and I enjoyed Lost Belt 7, by the way, right? Like, Lost Belt 7 was a good time. And it actually got me excited for the finale. I was like, okay, finally we're getting answers to these, like, you know, almost decade-old questions now. And, you know, maybe then we can move on to something new and, like, a new story or whatever. It'll be great. No. Nope. All the momentum has been lost, right? All the momentum from Lost Belt 7 has been completely lost because it's been over a year now. So, and we know we've got, you know, years of more stall. Like, it's blows, dude. Yeah, let's get through these filler chapters because there's a lot of filler fights here. I haven't actually seen her animations yet, so we'll use her. But we'll get to the Jalter moment in a bit here. But yeah, we got a lot of filler to get through. I think she's a support, so this will be awkward. Honestly, I actually liked the Paper Moon to an extent. I mean, it wasn't like the best thing ever, but it was a fun little thing. I just think it was ridiculous to make that main story, you know, before the finale, right? If they had done it after the finale, and I think everyone agrees with this. If instead of OC1, we got the big, you know, Guadia type finale and all that, and we just got to absorb that and we're done, right? And then before 3.0 or whatever they do, like, hey, here's some, like, you know, little filler stories, kind of like Epic of Remnant, and Paper Moon was one of those. I think everyone would have liked it, right? I'm like, hey, yeah, a few boss fights, you know, a little cool setting, kind of neat little thing, right? I'd be like, yeah, no problem. But because it's so blatantly filler and at such a bad time, it's really hard to like enjoy it for, you know, what it is. So this Ascension's kind of weird looking. Also, she's standing on her tippy toes again because they can't be bothered to, you know, make a different stance when they change their shoes, or in this case, lack thereof. Well, I guess she's wearing shoes. I can't really tell. But yeah, they do this all the time where, like, one of the Ascensions, or 2 out of 3, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but, like, one of the Ascensions has, like, heels or boots, right? Something like that. And obviously that affects your stance, right? Because that's how physics work. And then they have an Ascension that doesn't, you know, use that. But then, like, well, we don't want to reanimate this, so they're just gonna stand on, you know, whatever pose would have matched the other shoes. So it's not great. Yeah, they do that a lot now. Every once in a while they put in the effort, but yeah, pretty rarely. Boy, she might actually die if it's 3 waves of this many enemies. She better be AoE or we're in some trouble here. Yeah, her pose is incredibly awkward, and it's kind of a weird Ascension, so. The animations aren't too bad, though. But holy hell, I need to look at her other Ascensions because, like, I haven't even seen them, but I know she's, like, clearly wearing heels or something like that. That's why she's standing that way, and it looks really weird. Oh yeah, she does have like that whole hoof thing, assassin, that's right. Her first Ascension is so bad. Yeah, we'll see. If someone can slot it, I'll check it out. Alright, I swear to God, if this is just a pure support NP, we're in trouble. I know she's a support character, but I don't actually know what her NP does. Dude, her stance looks so bad. Holy fuck, this looks so bad. Because it doesn't even look like she's standing on her toes, right? It looks like she's hovering because she's blatantly supposed to be wearing heels or something, right? Like, blatantly. What did that even do? I have no buffs. I mean, I think we gave them crit down? Does she, like, only buff her teammates? 3k heal? Oh boy. Does she buff her teammates but not herself or something? Or does she only heal? Surely she doesn't just only heal. It's convoluted. Oh, you have to use your skills or something? Like based on what your skills have, it changes what your MP does or something like that? You need to have a color buff, so like if a different unit gives her Buster up or a different user, like Alex gives her Quick Up, it changes what it does. But can't you just have all of them? Because you know that's what the meta is going to be, is just have all of them. Geronimo support, don't even start. That feels like them trying a little too hard to be unique, to be honest. I'm not really... I wouldn't mind it if like her kit synergized with it in an interesting way, but her kit doesn't seem to synergize with it in any way, so... The attack animations are okay, though. You want to at least have Quick and Buster, which is funny because she only has art for herself, so... I guess you could use the, Artoria Bunny, Ruler Artoria command code. That'd actually be kind of legit with her. Because you can use it every turn, so every turn you'll get one of the buffs. Quick Up gives attack up, Arts Up gives crit up, Buster Up gives NP damage up. That doesn't seem like it's that awesome, though. I should do like attack, NP attack, then I'd kill 2 of them. I'm gonna go on a limb here and say unless her skills are absolutely incredible, she is not going to be that good. But I guess that's fine. I actually prefer when they add characters that are kind of just normal, opposed to always trying to like redefine the meta. But she doesn't even seem like... I would rather have like Hans on the team, for God's sake. How much battery does she have? What the fuck? Okay, well, we need a different unit. She's never going to clear this stage. Yeah, But at least her attack animations are okay. Not the best that I've ever seen or anything, but like I'm not disappointed with them. Her NP is kind of bad though. And yeah, maybe it is placeholder. You never know. They do stuff like that. Do we have anyone with one of the other ascensions? She's not super popular from what I've seen, so I don't know. Yeah, I actually recorded the air quotes AU last night. I was gonna make a joke video out of it, but I'm too lazy. So some people think there's gonna be a part 2 banner. I'm not so sure. I guess we'll see though. Wow, does no one else have her? I wanted to see the other ascensions, but and even this event, no one has actually got the characters, man. Jesus, I didn't think it'd be this unpopular. There's one. I think this is just the same ascension though. Why is everyone using this ascension? It looks terrible. Like, this looks so awkward. Yeah, I know I haven't seen the other ascensions. That's what I just said! Like, everyone's using the same ascension! Oh, Ice is switching it? I didn't realize he was here. You're lying to me. I hate these colors though, but I do already know about that one. Chat can't do nothing right. Well, we'll just show off one of the other people if we can actually find them. Chat's so mad. Guess what, chat? I don't care! What are you gonna do about it? Alright, we might just have to use the story support ones. This is like just a waste of time. Sounds like the FGO support system. You know what? I'm just gonna admin this. That generally gets the job done with filler crap like this. Wait, this is my alt account. I don't have admin stuff. Well, this'll work too. Unsubscribed, unfollowed, reported. Reported to who, though? I don't think she is that popular. So this happens a lot. It is so easy for people's perceptions to get warped. Here's a good example. Muramasa. If you looked at the Discords and the Reddits and stuff, you would have thought Muramasa was the most popular character since Jalter or something. And then you look at his actual sales, no one cared at all. It was just that no one else had anything to talk about. So here's an example. Whenever there's a potential for a new character or something like that, or like someone's being teased, or you have an NPC or whatever that is at least somewhat popular, right? Because it's not like Muramasa doesn't have fans. He does, just not that many in the grand scheme of things. But no one had any reason to really talk about any other potential upcoming character other than Muramasa. So literally anyone that cares about Muramasa is going to talk about him. And then it's like a meme, so people bring it up because of that. And so it just seems like he's super popular. But it's not like, you know, someone like me like looking forward to Green Knight or something. There's no reason for me to randomly like, I'm looking forward to Green Knight on the Reddit or wherever. Why would I say that? There's no reason to bring that up, right? So you just see it repeated a lot. And then so people assume this thing must be super popular, but it's not, right? It's the same thing with the, you know, like other TAM. It's like you have no reason to talk about anything else, really. So literally every single fan of her is going to say something right now. Right? Where everyone else, like me, who doesn't give a fuck, I have no reason to say anything. Right? And this has happened a lot in FGO and other games, so people just get this false perception of how popular something is. Like, if she was added tomorrow, I doubt she'd sell that well. I mean, I don't think she'd sell terribly, but I don't think she's gonna, you know, break any records. Just like when Muramasa finally came out, he didn't really sell that well, right? He sold okay, right? It wasn't like a failure, but it was absolutely nothing special, right? It was, kind of a fart in the wind in the grand scheme of things. You know, Ivan sold better, for God's sakes. So, it's kind of like, meh. But yeah, that just happens all the time, where things are talked about, so they're perceived to be popular, but there's not much reason for anyone to talk about all the other, like, yeah, like Sir K, right? No one's gonna be talking about Sir K right now. But yeah, it's just, I need like a term for this, but yeah, it's a very common thing. Well, Ivan 1 came out in a weird time for the game, and I think Achilles was rated up in the same month or something like that, or near, or something like that. And there's also Antonio was rated up with Ivan, right? But I think the thing about Ivan is it's not so much that Ivan, if you take all anime, all video games and stuff, I don't think Ivan is going to be like that popular. It's just he's one of the only characters in FGO like him. So anyone, it's like anyone interested in that kind of character is probably going to want to get him, right? It's kind of like a rallying point, if you will. Because yeah, he's very unique. Where if there was like a lot of characters like Ivan specifically probably wouldn't be the really popular one of like monster characters or whatever. It'd probably be some other one that people like more or whatever. But he's one of the only ones. So if you like that kind of thing, you're obviously going to roll on him because you have like no other option. I think this is one of those stages where you're supposed to AoE multiple times in the same turn, but I really just can't be bothered here. Oh, I'm sure there's still people looking forward to Galahad. I'm sure a thing. Galahad has a lot of haters, though. You see people talking about how much they hate him, even though we know nothing about him right now. But, you know, it's the internet. should have picked a different card because I would have killed another one of those guys there. And there'd only be 3 left if I hadn't done that, so then I could kill all 3 of these this turn. All right, chat, what character that's potentially going to be added? Now, so it could be an NPC or like a character they've obviously mentioned in voice lines multiple times or something, right? Whatever it is. What's a potential servant you want to see added that, you know, at least has some kind of chance of getting added? Aggravane, yeah, Ord, I wish. I have multiple Aggravanes. Actually, I'd like to see Aggravane too. It's not my top of my list, but I definitely would like to see him added. Demeter, I know a few people. Yeah, Maxwell's Demon, that's one I definitely want. Sita, yeah, good luck with that one. That used to have a good chance. And then Arcade happened. Bet Gwaine doesn't have his NP here. I mean, for me, it's obviously Green Knight. Right, Butch Cassidy. Although Butch Cassidy's never been mentioned, I don't think. He might have been like really passingly mentioned, but there's absolutely nothing pointing to Butch Cassidy ever getting added. Where Green Knight has been mentioned several times, so. And they even were going to use him in Lost Belt 6. Let's see, things that have actually been mentioned in a serious, in a major way, right? Or is straight up an NPC or something I'd want to see added. Yeah, obviously everything Fate Strange Fake related, but that's kind of different. I mean, Green Knight, Maxwell's Demon, Aggravane, Sir Kay. Those are all really big ones for me. You know, I've never cared about Perseus that much. Wasn't he data mined forever ago, though? Now, they might have just changed their minds about him. I think early on, I think they didn't care about using Fate prototype stuff in like a really shallow way. But I think Nasu's clearly changed his mind about that now that he's more involved. Because he wasn't really involved in the early days. So now I think they've put a complete hold on Fate prototype stuff. I think that's the best way of putting it. They were using it, but they were using it, you know, in pretty shallow ways. And now they've clearly just stopped using anything prototype related. So I think we'll just have to wait until they figure out what they want to do with prototype. I think that's why they haven't been using them. Because I know Proto-Gil was data mined a long time ago, and they still haven't used him. I think they will use him, but, you know, God knows when. Most of the data mines are in, because, like, Valkyrie was one. I think King Hassan was one, stuff like that. Like, a lot of them. Calamity Jane was one. Funnily enough, Calamity Jane used to have different Final Ascension art. It was data mined a long time ago, and it's definitely legit. So you can tell it's the same artists and everything. But, you know, I'm pretty sure this was Calamity Jane's deal. So when FGO started, very beginning of development, right? 9 years ago, they had the outline of what the main singularities were going to be for 1.0, right? They hadn't made like 2.0 outline yet, but like, so they knew about America. So I think day one of FGO, they had this vague idea of what they were going to do in America, and they were going to use Calamity Jane there. And then because of just like development time and stuff, she got cut, right? They just got cut out. And same for Saber Deermid, because he's in the anime trailer for America, Saber Deermid, right? But he wasn't in it, right? He wasn't in the game until like years later. So I think Calamity Jane got cut, Saber Deermid got cut, you know, mostly probably because of time, I would imagine. And also, when America was added, Billy and Geronimo had voice lines for Calamity Jane, and then when she finally got added, they have different voice lines. They ended up not using those. So yeah, she just got cut and then revisited way later. I don't think she ever was intended for you know, Saber Wars or any of that. They just repurposed her later on. But anyway, so they had made Ascension art for her, right? And her Final Ascension was leaked a long time ago, and we know it's legit because one of the artist style lines up. And there's no way that, like, all those years ago, someone faked a Calamity Jane's design. Because although the art ended up being changed, her design is exactly the same, right? Like, exactly the same colors, hair, all that nonsense. So that leak was obviously legit. So what they said about Canis was they had, like, her outline really, really early on, and they knew where they were going to use her really early on. And they had decided she was going to be a 4-star, like, really, really, really early on. right? And that's why, for some reason, she's a 4-star in Lost Belt 5. Because when you think about it, it's really weird that she's a 4-star. It doesn't really line up with her screen time and her power and all this stuff. And that power oftentimes doesn't match. But still, it's really weird. But yeah, they said like they had the idea to like make that character a long time ago. I don't know when the artist though actually made. I think they did like concept art already, but I don't know if the artist actually had made the art yet. I don't know. I know he said that he had made the art a good bit before though when we finally saw it in game. But yeah, I don't know if it was like day one. Now I'm pretty sure they did say King Asan, his art was done pretty much day one. So he was like in the wings waiting for ages. Yeah, they said Roland wasn't ready day one by any means, but it wasn't just his art. Like they said he was like 80% done for years. And they just never, and as Nasu put it, found the right time to add him, which I think is ridiculous because they kept spawning events with no foreshadowing, making up new characters for no reason, just frivolously. So why didn't they just, you know, use Roland like that? Like, what the fuck? Makes no sense. But anyway, I'm sure he's not lying. I mean, it's just the Nasu things. But you can kind of tell, though, Roland's animations and stuff just look older, right, than when he was added. They don't really match the era. And yeah, originally, Roland wasn't even going to be in 6.5. They actually changed 6.5 to accommodate him and some other characters. God, I hate her design. I dislike it immensely. I pretty much dislike everything that artist does except for Moriarty. And I don't mind Ryder Kentoki. I like his design, but the art style I'm still not crazy about. And I don't really like Berserker Kentoki's art style. Like, it's just weird. I was actually looking at this today because I kind of forgot how weird it was. Like, dude, Berserker Kentoki's arms, like in stage 2 where they slowly become red, but it looks like they're gloves, but they're not. And you can still see like all the veins and stuff. It's really weird. Not my cup of tea at all. But yeah, I just don't really like that guy's art style. She looks better in the in-game sprite, although we're so fucking zoomed out here, you can't really see a damn thing. Why are there... Is my emulator fucked up? Like, their face expressions look so low quality. Like, you can't even see her face. Like, what the fuck? I have to check my emulator settings. I might have messed something up. I don't think that's the game. I think it's just the resolution is messed up. This stage is just, like, filler stuff. We'll use it to show off his animations, though. Turn the music down a little bit. All right, well, open with Buster, then do double Buster after. Actually, I think his normal attacks are pretty cool, though. I'm not much of a weeb fan, but they still did a decent job, I think. Like, they actually reanimated his arms a few times. Like, that's pretty good. I mean, for a I'm actually shocked his animations are as good as they are for a welfare. They normally, they've phoned in welfares a lot, where they have, like, very stiff animations. Dude, she looks so weird. They give her, like, this super grown-up Raiko voice, but then she's, like, a midget and, like, super skinny and looks like shooting. It's so whack, dude. But yeah, for welfare, I think his animations are quite good. All right, we'll open with a quick here. He's actually blowing everyone else's animations out of the water. They don't reanimate his chest much, though, which makes some of it does look a little stiff because of that, but they at least have one shot from the side, which helps. I think they do. It looks like they do. That is such a lazy animation right there. Wow, her animations are pretty bad. I'm assuming it's because her stage 3 completely changes her animations. Whenever they do that now, one of the animation sets is very phoned in whenever there's 2. All right, open with, I guess, art now. The first strike of that one looked pretty stiff, I'm not gonna lie. Also, I don't think they do reanimate his chest. They're just reanimating the arms. So yeah, some of that does look a little off. Yeah, I don't think they do ever reanimate his chest. They need one from like the straight side. They used to do that all the time. Dude, it's actually wild. Like, Ku, who has one of the oldest animation updates, and as such, you know, it's not like really well choreographed and stuff. But it's very detailed in the amount they animated him. Right now, the attacks themselves aren't really anything special, but like they animated his chest from multiple angles, his arms from multiple angles, his legs from multiple angles. They don't really do that anymore. It's super rare that characters have like, especially their legs from different angles. They normally only have one shot of their leg and that's it. Yeah, it is scuffed in a few places, but definitely better than most new welfares. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know, they always do. The thing is that whoever did the preview for the stream probably did that pretty far in, where they were probably writing this stuff and like the gimmick of not being able to use his NP right now and all that a long time ago. So, but it is kind of silly them trying to act like you don't know what it is. Yeah, funnily enough, I want Q to get an animation update too, but yeah, I'm worried in some ways it's gonna be worse. Because right now you can actually see like his leg and his feet and his arms and stuff from like the back. They don't ever do that now, right? So he's got some like fluid motions because of that. But yeah, I could definitely see them fucking it up. We'll see if anyone's actually got the other extension here. I like how it shows there, then it goes to the page that she's not on. Okay, there's stage 2, and there would be the shoes that are causing the other stage to look ridiculous. Although I probably should not use her on her own. That sounds like a really bad idea. Let's see. I'll bring a berserker or something here. We don't use him a lot. And then, we don't really have a lot that gives AoE team buffs. Like, it's stuff that's really weak. Really bad, like Alex and whatnot. All the characters that have level like attack up. Okay, that'd be Buster up. But he's no good here. Like, it's so much attack up. Like, Waver's attack up, etc, etc. Nothing really makes sense here. Fuck it. I'm giving him Golden Sumo. He's the damage dealer. Who's a bonus servant, by the way? Where's Chen? I need Chen Bond. I'll probably use Kojiro in this event. He's barely in Samurai Remnant. He's like in a flashback. He's not actually in it. But they'll probably use him in this story, I would imagine. You know what'd be awesome is if they'd add, like, why can't, fucking Christ, why can't they do things, right? Like, just, not everything has to be some big deal, right? So why can't, like, during this event, why can't they add, like, 2-star Saber Kojiro and use his art from Epic of Remnant? You don't have to make a new design. You don't have to do that, right? Just use, it's good old Assassin Kojiro, but now he's a Saber, right? Like, it can be super minor like that, but why not? No one's gonna be mad about that. I'd grail him, right? And I'm sure plenty of people in my chat would too. Like, that's fine. Like, just do that. It's kind of like a costume, but a little extra bonus, right? Because now he's a different class. Gonna be a 2-star instead of a 1-star, right? Because his Saber version is supposed to be like his proper class, right? So it kind of makes sense to make it a 2-star, right? That'd be awesome, right? Barely any work on their part, right? Like the art's already done, right? You can use the same sprite as Assassin version if you want to. It'd be cool if they'd at least, you know, add some new animations in there, but like it don't have to, right? Like, just do it again and kind of advertise it as like a costume type thing, but a little bit extra, right? Like you don't have to, you know, hype it up as like some new character because, you know, it's not really, but that's fine. You know, why can't we have that, right? Why can't we have actual, you know, costumes? Why doesn't Jolter get an animation update? Do you realize how much more hype this event would be? And they used to do shit like this, right? They used to do shit like this. But like, if Jolter got an animation update in this event, and fuck it, you could either add her Lance herself as a costume for the animation update, or make it an alternate character. Either way, I don't care, right? But you can just make it a costume, right? That's fine. Right? Add Kojiro in the FP summon, right? Like, fuck. But no, can't have any of these things. Also, they could have like buffed some people. Like Spartacus is in this event. You could buff Spartacus or something. Why not? Like, fuck. Like, they don't do buffs anymore. They don't do interludes anymore. They, like, god damn. I cannot. This game has gotten so lazy with time. I wasn't too shocked that Kojiro showed up in Samurai Remnant, but it is cool they did it. Oh, the nice camera work. God, she looks so fucking weird, dude. Good God. But anyway, it obviously was a very minor role, but it was still kind of cool that he was in it. Wait, people are trying to say, fuck this community. Everyone's trying to say this story is set right after Fuyuki, and that's why they say, like, you know, haven't gone through any hardships. But Gordolf is right there. And Ramondi's not here. So clearly this is not set right after Fuyuki. Like, clearly. Like, Gordolf is right there. Yeah, nice neck there. They're both like that, though. Like, the Avenger one's like that, too, big time. Yeah, this has to at least be after Guadia. Yeah, and Scion's right there. Like, Jesus. Holy fuck, her neck is so much worse than the other one. I knew it was bad. I didn't realize it was that bad. Never. Yeah, he said something like, "You've never known strife." Imagine like all this, like, God, it's not just the easy thing to go to is like Lost Belt 5 and Lost Belt 7, right? Because of Zeus and Ort, but or even Lost Belt 6 is a fluffy, right? But like, you don't even need that. I mean, Jesus Christ, some of the stuff that goes on in the different singularities and whatnot, dude. Like Lost Belt 1, like Jesus. And oh yeah, and Babylonia, you know, because isn't Babylonia like really long, like time-wise? Obviously not necessarily like story-wise, but I mean like time-wise, like the amount of time you spend there is like really long, and like everyone fucking dies. Yeah, they don't. It's such a dumb line. And again, the whole point of the line is just a way to try to establish the new character as like having such a hard life, right? They're not even really thinking about it, right? It's like a throwaway garbage line to just like establish the persona really easily. But the people defending the line is what I think is just extra stupid. Oh yeah, I don't think you really can do much damage in this fight. Also, she doesn't have any starting NP. That's not ideal. Yeah, that'll help though. Not much NP gain to be had here. So what it is the servant, the new saber says like you're really weak or something like that, and then Iori, however the fuck you say his name, you know, her master, says don't be too hard on them. You know, they've like not known strife. They grew up in peaceful times after all, but you know they're still like know how to fight like a soldier or something like that. It's just, that's so fucking stupid. And like this is clearly after at least Lost Belt 1 and everything, because you've got Scion and Gordolf there. So we've obviously done like the prologue and at least Lost Belt 1. That just makes no sense. That means it's after Babylonia, Guadia, you know, all the nonsense in Lost Belt 1 and everything. Oh yeah, I guess Scion is around Lost Belt 3. I guess that's fair. I was thinking, or is it Lost Belt 2? Because I thought it was like Lost Belt 2. I might have my wires crossed here. But yeah, we've at least seen Guadia, Babylonia, right? Lost Belt 1, and that was a shit show, so... Alright, I guess I'll just flaunt. Kinda sucks I didn't get his NP. Trying to get her NP because I want to just see what if it like the NP animation is different with more effects and stuff. I probably shouldn't be in slow-mo right now. Okay, that is not great. Yeah, I haven't talked about the collab this entire time. And yeah, it was Iori or whatever the fuck is his name. But yeah, we'll get to Jolter when she actually shows up. We're not at that part yet. Man, there's just like nothing to do here. It's like a waste of time this stage. See if I can do a Buster crit just cuz. Yeah, a lot of these starting stages are like fight 30 enemies that are all have like 2k HP. And then the boss fights with her aren't even fights. You can't do anything fun. The fights just end after a few turns or whatever. Dude, I don't understand why I think it's terrible unless I'm really missing something. Her battery is pathetic and her NP gain rate is atrocious. Right? Like we've picked pretty much every NP gain optimal combo for her when they've been available and like she is just getting nowhere with NP gain. And then her NP seems incredibly underwhelming. Like unless the numbers per buff are huge, like her NP is pretty bad when you compare it to like what's her name, Castoria or even Merlin, for God's sakes. Like she just gives you some damage up like and a heal. Like it's just nothing. Like unless it's like 50 fucking % or something wild like that, like who gives a fuck? Yeah, this has to at least be around Lost Belt 3-ish. Oh, does her damage resist not kick in anymore? Because I didn't see it there. Yeah, I guess it's gone now. Yeah, I think she's pretty bad, and I think everyone's showing her off. I haven't watched a single video with her, but I can already tell you, every video trying to show her off is just stacking the team with a bunch of insanely OP, like, other units and craft essence and stuff to carry her. That's what they always do, and they try to act like they're worth anything. Like, no one is going to use this unit for, like, a hard boss fight unless I'm, like, really missing something about her NP. Let me look up her numbers. Now, again, that's not really a bad thing, because I'd rather they add, like, mid units than OP units. We don't need to, like, power creep all the time. But my thing is, she doesn't even seem that mid. She just seems kind of like, why would the fuck would you even use this if you're being budgety? So I'm looking at her right now. I think she's only good at, like, NP5. Like, at NP5, you get really big numbers, right? You get a 30% attack up, 50% crit up, and 30% NP up. But if you're NP1, it's 20%, 30%, 20%. Like, that's... And here's the thing. If you have her at NP5 and you NP twice, right? That's exponential, right? So, yeah, if she's NP5 and you double NP, that's really big. Because now you've got crit damage up 100%, right? You've got NP up 60%, attack up 60%, right? That's really solid. But, yeah, I'm not impressed with this toolkit. I mean, she just has... she's just really slow. To like get her NP and stuff, and so you're gonna be relying on the other supports doing stuff, but then like why bring her? Like if you're gonna have like Merlin to feed the other supports NP, right? So obviously if it's a long fight, Merlin is, you know, busted, But why wouldn't you do like Merlin and Castoria instead? That's so much better. Like, it's not quite as much damage, but it's just infinitely more utility and survivability, and it's still, you know, some damage, so. And it's kind of an interesting idea with the gimmick, but it's a pretty big drawback because there's not a lot of units that are actually going to give you AoE quick up. And you're not, if you have targeted quick up, you certainly don't want to give it to her, right? Like that's insane. And then if you don't have a DPS that's actually quick, then you shouldn't use a unit that can do a targeted quick, right? That just doesn't make any sense. Like, who would you actually use her with that's going to be any good? New budget quick support, yeah, I wish. What is her rarity? Because if she's a 4-star, this makes a lot more sense. Oh, she is a 4-star. Okay, this makes so much more sense. Oh my god, I just saw her stage 1. Who the fuck designed that? Dude, I hate her colors in every stage, by the way. I think I dislike the colors in stage 2 the most, though. Not a fan of like the teal with the red. I never liked that. And it's a very common color combo, funnily enough. At least in FGO. What are good 4-star supports? Honestly, Helena's not too bad these days. She's more of a damage dealer that has support on the side. Santa Martha's pretty good. Stendo's actually not bad, but it's still niche, right? You need to like have. It needs to be a fight where buff removal makes sense, right? If buff removal doesn't make sense, there's really no point. And you need to have a divine DPS, right? So it's like a niche and a niche. But Santa Martha, I'd say, is one of the better 4-star supports, and she's also outrageously easy to get. Let me think. Who else is a 4-star support? Because honestly, some of the better budget supports are the Landling. That's legit. Yeah, Landling's pretty good for real. And especially if you are fighting a Lancer, he is very, very good. So yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah, I'd say Santa Martha, Landling. That's like the two best ones that come to mind. But there are better supports than them that aren't Calamity Jane. Yeah, she is kind of a support. But there are better supports than them that are not 5 stars. It's like the 3 stars and the 2 stars and stuff. Like Asclepius is amazing. I would easily say Asclepius is better than her because he has such a clear. No, not Chiron. No way. I'll get into that in a second. But oh yeah, Castergil. That's fair. Yeah, Castergil is quite strong. He's kind of more of a DPS now, though, to be honest, with support on the side. But it's quite good DPS and quite good support, right? So who cares? But yeah, I think Asclepius is way better than her because he has such a clear defined niche that comes up plenty often, and he's so good in that niche that he's gonna have clear uses over her big time. And yeah, I think Hans is better than her for the most part. Like Hans's third skill is no joke, man. It's nice. But yeah, Landling's good. Landling's buff success chance is bugged in an A. That doesn't surprise me. They've had a lot of bugs like that. And yeah, we said, oh yeah, you Nightingale. No, I don't think Nightingale is that great. Nightingale is outrageously niche. If you look at like the budget people and stuff, when they use her, it's like once a year, maybe, right? Like she is so niche. Like if you're just in a typical situation, she is so lackluster. And she's even less useful now that I think because of Jufu. Like, cause she's just hell of a niche. But yeah, Castergil is really good. I guess OT Martha is kind of a support too, I guess. Kind of. She's, again, even more... I don't know, she's a weird one. Rider Martha is a really weird unit. She's not bad, but you use her very much when you want to beat up a caster, and it's like, yeah, we'll also have a Rider here. Or you just really need debuff clear, and you don't have, like, Tristan or something like that. But she is good. But I wouldn't really classify her as straight support. Yeah, I guess Edison is mostly support. I don't know how the fuck I would rate Edison. I've not used him enough. He's so weird. There's definitely potential there, but he is a really weird unit. When you get like really practical and break it down, I'm not really sure how he would perform. Like, there's a lot of units you can use, but that doesn't mean they're actually good. I haven't actually looked at Ushi Gozen. By the way, that her name is so annoying. And I know it says Gozen is like a female warrior title. Like, I get it. That's why you've got Suzuka Gozen and Tomoe Gozen. But see, the nice thing about those two is their other name isn't someone else's name, right? But she goes by Ushi fucking Gozen, and we already have a, you know, Ushi Wakamaru, right? So now it's just annoying. So you kind of have to say her full name, right? Otherwise, you're kind of, it's just gonna be confusing. What do you mean, who is the other Ushi? What the fuck are you talking about? Angry Raiko. I mean, really, it's just Raiko again, but... The thing is, you can't just say Gozen, though. Because you have Tomoe Gozen and Suzuka Gozen, right? Like, so if you just say Gozen, it's like, who the hell are you talking about? That's already been an issue, right? Because there already are people that will call Suzuka and Tomoe Gozen just Gozen, and people are like, who the fuck are you talking about? Because, but you can just shorten them to, you know, Suzuka or Tomoe at least, but you can't do that with Ushi Gozen. So you have to say her whole name, really. Or call her Raiko. But yeah, we don't have a lot of characters that, you know, coincidentally line up that way, but that one definitely does, so. We could show him off again, I suppose. You still can't use the NP, though. Isn't it you can't use the NP even if you get the welfare yourself? Like, don't they still not let you use it? Which is so weird, because you can use them outside of the event, and also, we already know what his NP is. So it's pretty whack. We have so many Artorias, but that's why everyone calls her by like the class and stuff, right? Because, so if you just say Artoria, people are going to assume you're talking about the original. And I think that's fair, right? If you just say Artoria, I think everyone is going to assume you're talking about the original. Or just the character collectively, right? Because if you are going to talk about like Summer Artoria, you're going to say Summer Artoria, or Castro Artoria, or, you know, Lancer Artoria. That's why it works that way, right? Malor, yeah, but Malor doesn't make sense outside of the event, but Ultria, yeah, that's the thing. I think this is another one of those filler stages though, where you just fight like a million mobs. Anyone got a bond boost? Yeah, whatever, it doesn't really matter what we bring. So, chat, you know, I got into Fate a long time ago, right? Like, when I got into Fate, I think it was just Fate 0 and Fate Stay Night, right? So I didn't start day 1, but still very early on. And in those days, what people would do, and I mean everyone, right? Everyone would do this. This was just the way people talked about the characters. Is they would just call them their class names, because that's what almost everyone refers to them as in their own stories. Or if you watch Fate Stay Night or read Fate Stay Night, or back then there was no Fate Zero anime, there was just the book, right? Because when I got into it, there was no Fate Zero anime. So because in the stories themselves, they almost never referred to themselves or each other as their actual names. You would just say Saber, right? Because she's in both Fate, it's the same Saber in Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night, lol, right? And for like Lancer, you would just say Lancer, or then if you were talking about Fate Zero, you would say Zero Lancer. That's what everyone did. And what they did for like Kojiro is they called him Fake Assassin. And they called Curse Arm True Assassin, right? This is what everyone did, right? So yeah, you'd be like Zero Berserker for Lancelot, right? And Berserker is Hercules. And again, because the cast was so small, this was, you know, very easy, right? It was no big deal. Yeah, and then Gil was the one person everyone would just refer to as Gilgamesh or Gil or whatever, because he never does really refer to himself as Archer, right? Especially in Fate Stay Night. So yeah, it was all, and you called Archer, you know, Emiya Archer. You didn't call him Emiya, because now what they do is they call the servant Emiya, right? They call him Emiya, and they call the idiot human master Shiro, right? That's what everyone does, right? That's how they distinguish them, which is funny. But yeah, things have changed a lot now, and because there's so many servants now everyone just refers to them as their fucking names. And it's kind of like weird when the stories refer to them as like their classes and stuff, but that's how it always has been. So, oh yeah, this is another fight I don't think you can win. It's just like wait until she NPs or some nonsense. I don't really remember. Whatever. Might as well NP for shits and giggles though. Although actually it looks like she has, I guess you just have to wait the 8 turns or whatever. I kind of want to bring a dot team. Just this, she has debuff immunity. They do that all the time now, man. Just no fun allowed. Let's be honest though, Nameless is just Imia. Like, let's not split hairs here. Like, it's the same fucking thing. He just grew up with a gun. Yeah, break bar guts. So if you break the bar, it doesn't go to the next bar. The gut symbol there. So you just absolutely cannot kill her here, even if you like got the most buff stacky insane team of all time. It wouldn't matter. Oh, she's actually hit based. Okay, so you want to like brave chain if you could. Kind of want to bring a different team though and see like if we can like actually break the bar. I think we could. I mean, no one can really just be the class name because there's so many of them now. And it's not like, so to me, the only character that really deserves to like own the class name is Angra, because unironically the class exists because of him, right? Like Saber's not the first Saber, she's just the first one you saw, right? There was wars before, right? And there's other Sabers, right? There's nothing unique about Artoria and the Saber class, right? Where the Avenger class exists because of Angra, and they've even acknowledged that several times, right? So if there's anyone that deserves to get the class name like that, it's Angra, not really anybody else. And I guess maybe BB and Moon Cancer, but like she literally made it up, so it's not really a class. Just like Launcher is not actually a class. And like Watcher, although we've only seen the one, is not like, they're not like the Watcher, right? There are other Watchers. Actually, presumably, several of the stories might have actually had a Watcher in it. That's kind of the thing about Watcher is, generally speaking, you will never detect them ever, right? That's like kind of how they work, is like you will just never ever detect them. I have a feeling the one in Face Strange Fake is going to get detected somehow, but you know, that's LOL crazy wacky nonsense. So Ethan Allen, thank you so much for the 36 months. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. What's up, dude? Who do I want the damage dealer to be? I don't really have a good one, honestly. God, I need a Grail Jerker just for gameplay reasons. Like, just having her at 90 would be so nice if you wanted to nuke a boss like this. Enkidu didn't exactly sense Watcher, but he knows something's up. He doesn't, like, know what it is specifically. But, he knows there's something watching them kick. Man, I should have done this on my main. I just have nothing I can really do on this account. When I think about it. Let me see here. There's just so few servants on this account that would be applicable to doing damage to an Avenger. Like, they're both AoE. And then my other Berserkers are like, she's only level 80 and stuff. That's so bleh. I do wonder what they're gonna do with Enkidu as Face Strange Fake moves on. Like, I wonder what they're gonna do. Yeah, wow, there's no DPS. That'd be great. I would just use Q on my main, honestly. Fuck it, we'll use Jerker. We just need to live until the thing is gone. He's like Merlin or something. That's pointless though, because it's gonna take more than 3 turns most likely. Well, whatever. It's not that important. Yeah, I actually wonder if he's gonna drink the Potion of Youth, because it's outside of Gate of Babylon right now. And because they've like mentioned Berserker and Enkidu several times throughout FGO and Fate Strange Fake, I do wonder if they're gonna do that. That writer though definitely uses red herrings sometimes, so it's hard to say. Like maybe Gil's gonna drink it. I mean, you know, God knows what they're gonna do. Yeah, so basically, Lancer Enkidu is Enkidu after gaining human wisdom and stuff. And so basically how it works is, you know, when he was created, it was basically, and this is similar in the actual stories, but not quite this anime. But so in Fate, when the gods create him, he's like a clay monstrosity, right? And he's a monster with like beastly instincts, right? So like really good smell, really good like senses like that, but doesn't have wisdom. He's not gonna beat a crossword puzzle, right? Not a chance, right? He's not gonna beat you in a game of chess. And with the whole Shamat thing, right? He basically trades a lot of his power for human wisdom, right? So then he does gain like the ability to beat a crossword puzzle and all that stuff. And then obviously he's still outrageously powerful, right? But he is straight up not as powerful as he used to be. They're very clear about that he's just massively nerfed by gaining human wisdom. Now, in some circumstances, the human wisdom might actually do him more good. But also, so could the beastly instincts, right? Sometimes instinct is better than wisdom, very much so, right? Depending on the context. So it's like, it's a side grade between the wisdom and the beastly instincts, but then the power is just a nerf. Right, so he is absolutely weaker as a Lancer, and they're quite clear about that he is much stronger originally. But what Gil says is if you could somehow summon him as his Berserker self, you'd have to cheat, right? You'd have to like fuck around with the summoning system and stuff. You couldn't do it naturally. So yeah, we'll see what goes on with that though, because he may not be in Fate Strange Fake, but they've actually hinted at him a little bit in FGO, so who knows. But yeah, it sounds pretty horrifying because Lancer Enkidu is the equal of Gilgamesh. Now, I would say, like, I really do think Gil's a little bit stronger just because Aya is just more applicable in more situations than the tree is. Now, the tree counters Aya, right? But, like, against a lot of other stuff, I don't think it's quite as good. I think Enkidu's more serious than Gil, though, so he's actually scarier. But if they both went absolutely all out and they fought every single servant that's ever existed, I think Gil would win more than Enkidu would. Yeah, they'd still win an outrageous amount and kind of splitting hairs here. But if Berserker Enkidu's even stronger, then that's pretty scary, so. But he's, like, presumably not, like, really supposed to be a servant, so. No, I don't think Enkidu's in CCC like that. Although, actually, Enkidu is mentioned in Fate Extra, but not like that. Yeah, they pretty much say Berserker and Enkidu shouldn't be possible, but with tomfoolery, there's probably a way. Man, I wish this account had limit broken Black Grail. And I'll just do that. This Leonidas is fine. Could do the Switch Mystic Code. What's the best buffer I've got? I guess Waver. I mean, when in doubt, it normally is Waver. And I'll just bring people for Bond. I don't know, coup or something. All right, not that many buffs, but I'm not taking this that seriously. Yeah, it's actually funny. The Mesopotamian gods are actually kind of dumb when they made Enkidu. I don't think they... That's kind of the point, though. Like, they kind of fucked up. Because, like, in his Lancer's self, he's an outrageous threat, right? Like, crazy how much of a threat he is to a lot of deities. Like, to be clear, Tiamat is much stronger than the other deities, right? Like, the ones that came after her, right? That overthrew her. You know, they had to gang up on her, right? Like, 1-to-1, she is significantly stronger than the other deities. So, like, and obviously Tiamat is stronger than Enkidu, I would say, but, like, Enkidu can actually fuck her up for quite a while, which is incredibly impressive. And I know that was Kingu, but, like, Enkidu would probably do better than Kingu just because Kingu has, like, no fucking experience at all. Anyway, but, so the fact that Enkidu can do that is quite scary, and that's his nerfed self, right? And then most gods are no Tiamat. Actually, we haven't seen any gods, really, that are on the level of Tiamat. So if you're a lesser god, and Enkidu is just so scary, it's ridiculous. So then imagine him when they first created him when he was even stronger, right? So yeah, they kind of overdid it on that one. But it's because they were like scared of Gilgamesh, right? And so they made Enkidu to try to counter Gilgamesh. So they went pretty ham with it. And the actual lore, it's a whole fuckery, but it's not like that in Fate. Like in Fate, they just straight up say Tiamat's stronger. Just like they say primordial deities are just stronger than regular deities. But yeah, it's very different in the actual stuff. But like Tiamat in like the actual stories is. It's more like, I mean, I guess she's kind of like this somewhat in Fate, but, you know, she's more like a force of nature, right? Less so than a person, I guess. Well, it does, that's Ymia killing Hercules 6 times. Doesn't that undersell Greek myth a lot? Not, I mean, somewhat yes, but somewhat no, because one, he's still lost, right? Like, Ymia still fucking lost, so, you know, GG. Also, Hercules regenerates his lives, by the way. A lot of people don't know that, but Hercules, with enough time, will regenerate his lives. Also, Berserker is Hercules' worst class, which I actually think makes sense. I don't think they just pull that out of their ass to just, like, justify it. I think it makes sense that Berserker is probably going to be Hercules' weakest class, right? So, like, if they had... I think if they had Ymia take 6 lives... Not from Avenger, but from proper Archer Hercules, I think that would be bullshit, right? I would say that is absolute bullshit because, you know, Hercules is the most famous hero in Earth's history, which that is no small feat, especially when in the Fate universe, like the more famous you are, you get more power, right? Obviously, your actual strength gives you more power, like with Gilgamesh, but your fame makes you even stronger. And then Hercules is actually really, really powerful in his actual... you know, self, and then is that famous. So yeah, if Ymia could keep up with Archer Hercules, I think that would be horseshit. But with it just being Berserker Hercules, I don't think it's that big of a deal. And again, Ymia still loses, right? Like straight up, he still loses. Now what I tell you what though, here's what undermines Greek mythology and Hercules. Is the anime. So here's an example, right? In Heaven's Feel, the visual novel, right? Obviously Hercules gets kind of like plot slapped by Saber Artoria, but in the visual novel, they make it really clear Hercules is actually stronger than her because like it's the whole thing is bullshit, right? She's getting ultra buffed by the Grail, like directly, and then he's being nerfed. Right, by the mud, but they cut that from the anime. They just completely cut him being nerfed by the mud and stuff. They just cut all that out entirely. So the anime just makes it look ridiculous, right? At many points, right? So in Unlimited Blade Works, you know, Artoria fights Hercules, and in the visual novel, she gets whooped, right? Like she doesn't even damage him, right? I think it's a bad ending, but in one of the bad endings, she does try to use strike air like she does in the anime, right? And it bounces off of him, right? Like it just fucking bounces off of him. Where in the anime, they have it fucking kill him. And you can tell how they try to justify the, it's so clear this is what they're doing. The way they try to justify Artoria's strike air killing Hercules is because in the anime, they have it like stab him in the hand, right? So they're trying to imply that because he's stabbed in the hand, it's like past God hand, and that's why strike air can kill him like that, right? Which that makes no fucking sense. And also, she was never able to stab him like that in the visual novel, right? That scene just does not happen in the visual novel. Like she does use strike air on him, but it just bounces off, right? It literally does nothing. But yeah, she just gets her ass absolutely whooped in that graveyard fight with Hercules. It is just crazy that they took the one scene that makes Hercules look really powerful and intimidating, and then they reversed it to make it look like Artoria whoops his ass. So yeah, if you only ever watch the anime, Hercules looks like a complete bitch, right? He loses a bunch of lives to Emiya. He loses to Artoria really easily, right, in the anime. Then he loses even harder in Heaven's Feel, right? So he just looks like an absolute bitch in the anime, right? The only anime that he actually looks kind of decent in is Stay Night. But that's the anime no one watches, right? Because he does at least whoop Artoria's ass there. And he has like a lot of like really impressive feats in that one. But other than that, yeah, he looks really bad. It's not great. But yeah, that's how anime be sometimes. I've never really been a fan of how Ufotable does their adaptations. Like their animation quality is good, but a lot of the changes they make are really stupid. So like what Ufotable does a lot is they change things a bit to make popular characters look better. They just blatantly do that. They've done that in every adaptation they've ever done. It just is what it is. All right, so we have to hit her 8 times. So, not a good time for Leonidas to do his NP then. Guess I'll just do the invulnerability. Sucks I got all of her Buster cards already because we can't do any damage with them here. I like how Nasu actually said this, by the way. I think it's the character material book for Fate Zero or something. I have to look specifically, but I've looked this quote up many times. So Nasu was talking about why like Gilgamesh is stronger in Fate Zero, which he is by quite a bit. Now you don't really notice in the anime because the way the animes are done, but Gil is significantly more dangerous in Fate Zero, and it's because he's more serious and such. And there's honestly pretty reasonable explanations for it, right? He's older in Fate Zero because he hasn't drinking the Potion of Youth yet. There's just, you know, a lot of stuff to like make him, you know, he's not even being that serious, right? Like when he's fighting Lancelot, he's not even shooting that many things at a gate and stuff. But he's like filling them up with mana so they explode. He never does that in Fate Stay Night. He does it in the anime, but again, just the anime. He never once in Fate Stay Night puts mana in his sword so they explode when he fires them off. He never does that. He just fires them off generically, right? Just a lot of stuff like that. And like he uses Aya way more seriously, you know, against Alexander and whatnot. But so Nasu was talking about that, and he's like, well, you know, in Fate Stay Night, it's a love conquers all story. He literally says this. You know, Fate Stay Night's a love conquers all story, so Gilgamesh has to lose, and he can't show off his like overpowered abilities. Like he just straight up, like, Nasu just says this, right? So it's just, you know, it's silly. It just is what it is. But anyway, but he's like, in Fate Zero though, right? It's not that kind of story. So there's no such restraints, and so we can show off, you know, Gil being, you know, significantly scarier, and that's why he uses Aya, you know, at a way stronger level, you know, against Alexander the Great than he ever does in Fate Stay Night. And you see him like putting mana in the sword so they blow up, and you know, the flying machine, you know, it's crazy shit like that, right? He doesn't do any of this. Like, what the fuck would anyone do in Fate Stay Night if Gil used his flying machine, right? None of them could do a damn thing, right? Like what, like Ryder is gonna get on her Pegasus, like that's gonna work, right? Like, are you kidding me? And yeah, he never uses Aya like that, right? Any of that stuff. But yeah, it's because Fate Stay Night is just, you know, a lot of silly plot armor stuff. It just is what it is. But Fate is full of plot armor at this point. Like, oh my god. When they have a non-plot armor story, that's the exception. Like, and there's almost none of those, really, at this point. I think Fate Zero probably has the least plot armor. It has a little bit, though. It really does, because, like, it's kind of reverse plot armor. Because these set in Fate Stay Night, that, you know, I almost said Kurotsugu, Kotomine, Jesus. Kotomine's first servant, you know, assassin, was defeated really, you know, it was the first servant to be defeated, and, you know, rather easily and kind of pathetically, right? So they're kind of like forced into just being lame because of that was said, right? Even though they have really powerful abilities and are really scary, but they kind of just throw and just, you know, die immediately to Alexander. It's like, okay, great. So yeah, there's a few things in Fate Zero that are a little silly here and there, but for the most part, I think it's got some of the least plot armor. Yeah, I've always said that Gil losing in the Fate route is really in character. I think that's the most believable defeat he's ever had. Because first off, Avalon is a good way to gank somebody if they're not ready for it. And it makes complete sense that he'd hold back to a ludicrous degree against Saber because he's trying to marry her, not kill her. He uses Gate of Babylon on her once. He fires one volley of swords at her the entire time. That's it. Right? That's all he fucking does with Gate, right? He barely fucking uses it. Like, he's massively holding back there, and that makes sense for him to be holding back there to that. Because it's one thing for Gil to hold back, but some of the stories he holds back to such a ludicrous degree, it's not really believable. It's like stupid how much he's holding back. But in that one, it makes sense. And then Avalon is an ability that could, you know, gank someone really well like that. So I think Fate has always been like the most believable death he has. Now, you could say it's contrived and like that he's that in love with her and all that stuff, and he's being that careless and stuff because he's in love with her. Like, they kind of contrived it to be that way. But, you know, I mean, it is what it is. And they have enough, like, writing build up to it that I think it's fine, so. Anyway, let's actually try to do some damage here. So we got to hit her 4 more times. Leonidas can do a Brave Chain so I can get rid of all 4. That's nice. I wonder if I can get Guts to proc here. I'd love to do his NP, but I need to actually attack 4 times here. Oh, another time, I mean, Gil's not dead yet, but he got foobarred in Fate Strange Fake. And obviously, he wasn't taking the fight very seriously. But that one kind of made sense because he didn't know that, why can't I remember? Humbaba. I cannot believe I forgot that name. Dude, I'm getting old. But he didn't know Humbaba was there. He didn't know Ishtar was there, right? So he had no reason to be, like, more prepared, right, at all. So, like, that whole situation where he's fighting Hercules and then gets ganked by Humbaba, right? That one makes a degree of sense in the context and whatnot. Now, the whole, like, him being summoned by the key, that, and then throwing it away, and then Ishtar finding it all, that stuff's a little dumb. I will say that's pretty plot convenient, right? Like, that really is plot convenient. But, the Humbaba part, I would say, makes sense. But yeah, the Ishtar stuff is kind of nonsense, but okay, we finally get to click buttons. I guess I don't really need to cast that one though. You know, I guess I switch out Merlin actually. Too bad we don't have any crit chance here. Do I want Waver to NP just to show off? Yeah. Fuck it. Big damage, let's go. But honestly, plot armor and like anime just go hand in hand, man. Everything like light novels, visual novels, anime-esque games and stuff. They're just so much plot armor, it's unreal. And even a lot of other media is like that too. I mean, plot armor is just such a common thing in storytelling. And I'm gonna be honest, I think most writers are really bad about it. Like, most writers just write themselves into corners and then just pull shit out of their ass to like get the outcome that they want and stuff like that. Yeah, it's most entertainment. I think anime stuff though can be even worse about it. They can, like, a lot of other, well, I guess in recent years maybe not. I've seen a lot of writers say this and I agree. I think the last 15 years or so we've seen a really big decline in writing quality, and I really agree with that. Not that there's not schlock in the past, there absolutely is, but man, it's hard to find good writing these days. Like, people just use really cheap, like, fan fiction tactics to get the story where they want it these days. It's kind of horrible, to be honest. Well, I mean, Artoria's not King Arthur, though. I mean, I'm not just saying that to be like a dick. That's just that's actually the story. She's actually a normal girl that got like forced to fake being King Arthur, right? That's her, like, that's the shtick. She's not actually the bona fide King Arthur. That's why her name's Artoria instead and all that nonsense, right? Where, you know, they have actual Arthur out there, but he doesn't get a lot of screen time, so. Actually, people have brought up the chivalry thing a lot. I actually think the chivalry thing is done pretty well. I'm surprised. So many people act like Fate Zero is not written well because Artoria acts more chivalrous than she does in Fate Stay Night. But it's completely fine, and I'm flabbergasted how many people mess this up. And I'm convinced it's because it's like confirmation bias. They're like, they want to not like Fate Zero and they want to discredit it, so they're like looking for an excuse to discredit it. They're not thinking fucking logically. The reason Artoria is so cutthroat in Fate Stay Night is because of what happened in Fate Zero. That's the point of Fate Zero. Like, are you kidding me? I do not understand how people miss that. It's a massive plot point in both stories. That all the stuff with Kurotsugu and everything else makes her more cutthroat. Because she's so fucking pissed at what just happened. That is the goddamn story. I have no idea how people miss this. And then also, and I don't know how they missed this one either. I can kind of understand why people miss this because a lot of people literally don't know this. But like, chivalry is not what people think it is. It's not. Knights are not really that honorable. Chivalry is a very specific code of conduct that only applies to knights. And they very much acted upon this. And it's literally in Arthurian stories, shit like this, right? Like, you don't treat a man-at-arms the way you treat a rival knight. You just don't. That's just not how chivalry works, right? And that's, you know, it's shit, but it is, right? Like, knights are not this beacon of honor. They're not, right? Chivalry is a very specific code of conduct in a very specific circumstance, right? So like, Diarmid is someone that Artoria deems worthy of chivalry, right? And that's how knights behave, right? They did not give that kind of treatment to every person they met. Not at all. Not even close. Almost, I mean, has anyone read a history book? Like, Jesus Christ, the amount of depravity that knights and stuff did is insane, right? Like, but then they turn around and act chivalrous at court or with another knight and stuff, right? It's kind of pathetic, but that's actually how it was, right? And again, you actually see these in the stories of, yeah, Arthur, or the Gawain and the Green Knight is a perfect example of that. That's actually what that fucking story is about, by the way, which is a big part of why I like that. I fucking love that story, right? Like that, the whole fucking point of that is like pointing out the hypocrisy of knights and whatnot, and knights failing to live up to this like idealistic, you know, vision people have of it and stuff, right? That's a really big part of that story, and it's fucking awesome because of that. But yeah, people really miss this a lot. But yeah, like, Diarmid is someone that Artoria deems worthy of chivalry, so she shows him chivalrous behavior, right? But then because of everything that happens in Fate Zero, then Kurotsugu and everything, she's not doing that no more. And like, when she sees, you know, Emiya, right, and ganks him at the start of Fate Stay Night, she doesn't view Emiya as a lowly bowman. I'm not kidding. That's how they see it. That's fucking, even Ku says that, right? Like, they don't, bowmen were not seen in good light, right? So yes, you can just murder a bowman by stabbing him in the back, right? You could do that, right? In stories and even in actual time, you know, those times and stuff, right? Where if you stabbed a knight in the back and, you know, didn't fight him fairly, oh no, that's dirty. Oh no, we're gonna poo-poo at that. But that's actually how they saw this. Yeah, I know bowman, but you know what I mean. But yeah, Emiya's a lowly bowman. That's not worthy of chivalry. But anyway, yeah, it doesn't even matter because the whole point is Artoria's super pissed because of Kurotsugu, and, you know, is way more cutthroat because of it. That's the story. That's the point. It's not supposed to be the same in Fate Zero. Like, I cannot believe it is so common that people bring that up too. as like trying to discredit Fate Zero. It's like that it's like they think it's some big gotcha moment, and I'm like, did you not actually pay attention to the stories? Like, good God. Sometimes I feel like I actually read the books, because I read Fate Zero, the book, right? And I've read the visual novel Fate Stay Night. It's not very good. But anyway, I actually read this shit, right? And then you see people talking about it on Reddit, and it's like, I don't think these people actually read the stories. I legitimately don't think they did. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't pay attention to Fate Zero, and a lot of people don't want to like it because it makes Saber look bad, but, you know, that she does that on her own, thanks. Also, that same for Gwen, by the way, right? That's the thing. That's the whole shtick with the Green. I actually think if more people actually read the story of Gwen and the Green Knight, we might actually have more people that want the Green Knight to be added, by the way, because he really is an awesome fucking character. Like, I don't just like him because he's green, right? Obviously, when I was young, my attention was drawn to him because he was green, okay? I'll admit that, but the actual story is awesome. They actually have that story, that game I streamed one time, that Lords of Magic game, that had a side game mode, and they had the most in-depth, like, side story in that game mode. Was the Legends of King Arthur. They have like a whole game mode just dedicated, like recreating the Legends of King Arthur, and they have the Green Knight in there, and he has an axe and all that nonsense. They do all that stuff in there, and they have Gwen in there. And if I remember correctly, there's some like a lot of optional quests and stuff you can do. And if I remember correctly, if you don't, you have to like do a side quest with Lancelot to get him to sleep with you know, different people, right, to like meet, to like basically follow the actual legends, to actually get Galahad to be born, to actually be able to get the Grail. Like, you can actually fuck it up. It's kind of funny. And I can't, it's been so long since I played it. I really should stream it, because it's a pretty good take on Arthurian legend, actually. And Vortigern's in it, by the way. But anyway, I'm pretty sure Percival is in that, and I don't remember if they really did anything with him also, like, potentially being able to get the Grail. I can't remember. It's been way too long, so I'm not sure. But yeah, it's actually really good. It's really cool. That Lords of Magic game was awesome, and like that Arthurian legend like side version of it was done super well. Some of the other like side stories they did weren't as in depth. Because let me see, they did Beowulf, but it was really weird. The Beowulf one is super weird because they basically fused Beowulf with Lord of the Rings. It's super strange. It does not follow the source material that closely, and like Beowulf isn't even like Beowulf at all. They're like a hobbit and stuff. It's really weird. But they did Siegfried. Actually, this is awesome. So what the game was, so the original game was Lords of Magic, right? And it was basically a turn-based game when you do like management stuff, and when you go into combat, it was real time, right? And it was very fantasy. You had like life, death, earth, fire, chaos, like these different factions, right? It's very, very fantasy stuff. And then they made a special edition version of the game where they added this other game mode called Legends of Yorick or whatever. And those are like based on these legends like I'm talking about. And you know, one of them is King Arthur, right? It's like it's like the Order faction's legend, right? And it's King Arthur. And stuff like that. But there was a hidden one. So you had them all like there as you click them in like a circle. Like you see my mouse here, all the characters you could select were in a circle. You click the Order one here, the Death one here, the Life one here, you know, etc, etc. But there was a hidden thing, and I didn't actually know this for ages because we didn't really have the internet when I was young. It was, you know, baby stuff. But if you click the center of the screen, which there was no indication of why you should click there, but if you click the center of the screen, a lightning bolt would come down, and it would start, I shit you not, it would start playing Ride of the Valkyries. And there was no other classical music in this game, right? It was all like its own soundtrack. Very good soundtrack, by the way, actually excellent soundtrack. But if you click the center of the screen, lightning bolt comes down, it starts playing Ride of the Valkyries, and Siegfried appears. And you could do a whole campaign with Siegfried. And I actually don't know how accurate it is because I only played that campaign once and I was really young and I don't remember it. And I have not gone back and replayed it. So I have no fucking clue how accurate the Siegfried one is. I'm gonna have to play this game again now that I think about it, because it is a good game. But it was just so hidden, right? I did not know about that for quite a while. But yeah, I'll have to try to stream it. I think it's on Steam now. It used to not be, but I think it's on Steam now. I can't remember what the other ones were. I think it's like Beowulf, but like really weird, infused with Lord of the Rings. And then Legends of King Arthur, and those were just straight up. And the Siegfried one. And then I know there's at least 2 or 3 other ones, but I do not remember what they were based on. I can't even draw a reference. I just do not remember what they were. What's the name of the game? Lords of Magic. But then you have a side game mode within that game called Legends of Yorak, and that's where all this stuff is. But yeah, it's on Steam. I actually recommend it if you like strategy games. It's really good. I really like how the combat's all real time and very like kind of actiony, but then the management stuff is all turn-based and you can take your time with it. Stuff. It's really cool. So, but yeah, it's I think it's mechanically it's aged really well. Obviously, old graphics, good aesthetic, a very good aesthetic, but very old graphics. But I think the gameplay's aged quite well and it's still really fun. Okay, I think this is just another filler stage. I gotta make sure we don't miss the Jalter stage because there's trash mobs before it, but I don't think this is one of those. We'll just do some AoE spamming. You know what? We're talking about Artoria a lot. We'll bust out Artoria with our 444 in P1 nonsense. Let's just give her K-scope. I want the Green Knight in the game so bad. Oh my god, dude. Just talking about this is killing me. Like, it's such a great legend. And there's so many cool things you can do with it. And they've already done some cool stuff, like this sash, you know, from his wife and stuff is in there and all that. And, you know, they've mentioned him several times. Yeah, they mentioned him quite a bit in FGO, and they've mentioned him in, I forget if it's, I think it's in, I know it's in the Extraverse. I forget which Extraverse story it is. Might be like Extella or something, but it's like Gwen's story, so I think it's Extella. By the way, in the Fate universe, and this is pretty accurate, but you know it's a little different in the Fate universe, but they've been somewhat accurate with it. But yeah, they just say the Green Knight whoops Gwen's ass, so. Yeah, FGO does have a lot of potential that they just waste. Like, I really want to know, like, if people don't agree with me on this, like, if they think this would be boring or whatever, I'm curious. Because maybe we're just, like, pandering to Zoomers. Because that's a thing where, like, a lot of younger people just want things to be more and more extreme and extra and extra and extra. And that's... But they're not even really doing that right now. Like, a lot of the events are just so boring. But, like, I've always said, like, why can't we have an event, like, you have an event that's, like, based on Nottingham. And yeah, you throw in some oddballs in there that aren't you know, Robin Hood related. But you know, you add the Sheriff of Nottingham and Little John and maybe a different version of Robin Hood. Because they've always said there's a bunch of different versions of Robin Hood in Fate. And I said if you want sales, you can make a waifu Robin Hood, right? You know, that would sell really well, right? Like, why can't we have that, right? Why can't we have a 100 Years War event, right? That has a lot of like French and English stuff, right? Like, why not? Why can't we have like a haunted French opera house for like Phantom of the Opera and Christina and all that? Why can't we have events like this? Like, I literally don't understand. Why can't we have like a Greek event and we get like focus on, you know, various, there's so much stuff you can do with Greek mythology. I can't even pick something out, right? There's like a billion things you could focus on. But like, why don't we get this? And then when you do it, why not give animation updates to the applicable characters? Why can't we have a Greek story, right? Like an event or something, or a filler story, whichever you want to do. And then, you know, add new Greek characters and, you know, Ajax or whatever you want to do. And then, you know, obviously have Leonidas in it because he's Greek. And then give him an animation update. Like, hello? Like, why can't we have this? Why can't we have, yeah, we could have imagine this. Holy fuck. I never thought of this, Chad. This is because Chad just said this. Why can't we have a story, right? Be it an event or like an Epic of Remnant side story, whatever you want to do, right? Where you're like going back in time and going through like the 12 labors of Hercules, but because, you know, timey-wimey stuff, it's like corrupted and, you know, someone's trying to, you know, tamper with them and stop Hercules from doing them or whatever. And although you got some classical stuff like the Hydra and all that, but you can have some, you know, other stuff interjected in there, right? Like whatever you want to do, right? Why? That's awesome. That'd make a great event, right? And again, and you could have Asterios in it or something and give Asterios a goddamn animation update. Right, and you know, buff some Greek characters and whatnot. Like, what the hell? Why can't we have this? And you can do this for anything, right? You can do this for the Nordic stuff. You could, that'd be fan-fucking-tastic, man. But no, we just get all this like generic crap. Like, dude, look through the actual events that we've gotten in the last 2 years. Like, go to the wiki, go to the event list, and actually look at the events and what their theme is for the last. It's a joke. right? Like, it's actually a joke. Like, how is that the crap we've been getting for so long? Eh. Yeah, not alien enough. But do people find this boring now? Like, I don't understand. Like, what does... But the thing is, even if people find that boring, it's not like the events we're getting right now are actually anything special. It's mostly just, like, weird Japanese festival or something, and just, like, what the fuck? Like, it's so bad. And a lot of the... And, like, good God, look at the first OC, you know, the filler story, right? We're like, oh, they hype it up that it's set in Egypt. And then there was no Egyptian stuff. Because, oh, it's actually all a virtual world, and it's mostly Indian stuff. So I don't know why we hyped up the Egypt thing. Like, I just don't understand. There is so much stuff you can do with Nordic stuff, man. God damn it, man. I would love that. So, people, I think, are really confused about the whole Hercules situation. And I think it's because, again, people haven't actually read the book. And I have. So, I wish we were gonna get Archer Hercules at some point, right? But it is incredibly unlikely. And he's not in Fate Strange Fate. I mean, he is, but for like a page and a half, right? Like, they did not do shit with Archer Hercules in Fate Strange Fate. And the writer even said that he did it on purpose. It's no coincidence that Archer Hercules is basically not in Fate Strange Fate. The writer said he didn't feel like he should write the character, so he didn't, right? What's in Fate Strange Fate is Hercules wearing drapes on his head, right? And he's an Avenger now. And he's like an OC character, essentially. He basically has nothing to do with Hercules. Like, it's very silly. So it's like, odds are we're getting Avenger Hercules in FGO. Now, I hope that's not the case. And maybe we get both somehow. And like in stage 1 and 2, he's Archer Hercules. And in stage 3, he's Avenger, you know, Hercules or something, right? Maybe they do something like that. But not holding my breath. I'm pretty sure we're just going to get, you know, it's Hercules Alter, right? Is essentially what it is. So yeah, Archer Hercules doesn't really exist. He exists on like a page, and he's awesome on that one page, but yeah, that's it's not a lot. I probably should have brought a different back row, but we'll make do here. I don't need to use my buffs. They also showed regular Hercules one other time. I can't remember what it was. I want to say it's like the Oceanus manga or something. It's like a Jason flashback. So they did show him again there. And then yeah, the manga Fate Strange Fake did they put a little bit more effort into Hercules, where they like showed his design and stuff. I mean, it exists. Yeah, I know in Lost Belt 5, Hercules dies off screen, but you know, we don't talk about that. They do one collab a year. Sometimes they don't even do that, but yeah, generally just once a year. And this one seems kind of wasted to me, especially with them really not adding anything. Chat, people keep like disagreeing with me on this, but I think they're on copium. They're not adding anything from Samurai Remnant. She was already in the game, right? Now that is from Remnant though, and pretty one-to-one. So okay, at least there's that. But that wasn't really part of the collab. That was like a pre-collab thing. So the added Lancer Jolter, which I need to stop talking so much and actually get to fucking Lancer Jolter here. I've really been wasting time. But anyway, so there's Lancer Jolter, who's just like a bad costume for regular Jolter and is presumably not even going to be obtainable. Why did all of them die? I guess it's like a gimmick she has or something. Anyway, so you're not getting, and no Jolter animation update, no Jolter buff, no Jolter costume yet or anything like that. So not great. And then they added not the Ushi Gozen from Samurai Remnant. It's literally not her. It's like her from a different universe. It's a different class and a different design. So, like, what the hell? I mean, you got the Master, right, from Samurai Remnant, and that's it. So, I mean, it's like, that's pretty unhype for a collab, right? Like, they're like, teasing a bunch of stuff like Lancer Altar, but not actually giving it to you, right? They're not doing anything. It's like a fake collab, really. It's kind of like if a game you really liked collabed with another game you really liked, and then they're like, yeah, but we're not actually adding any of the units, but you can get, if you pay us, we'll ship you a cardboard cutout of the character, though. It's like, oh, okay. Great collab, guys. Does this collab not really adding Fate Samurai Remnant stuff mean we might actually get real Archer Herc with Fate Strange Fate collab, though? I doubt it. And here's why. Nasu is like playing the floor is lava with Hercules. It's kind of obvious that that's been the case. Like, anyone that's been following Fate for a while, like, I mean, are you kidding me? You've got Fate Stay Night, right, where he's Berserker, and they even say like how abnormal that is for him, and it's not really like his proper self. He can't use his best techniques. Like, are you kidding me? Right? You don't get to get his personality. He's, you know, he's very warped there. Okay, and then you've got Fate Strange Fake, where he gets altered immediately, right? And then in Lost Belt 5, he dies off screen, right? And then every other time he's used is just his Berserker version. Right, so it's like, you imagine the greatest hero, like the most popular, the most famous hero that has ever lived, and he is unquestionably, Hercules is the most famous hero in all of human history and mythology and everything. Right, ridiculous. He's known across the whole world. People that know almost nothing about Greek mythology will know the name Hercules. It's crazy, right? And they just don't want to do anything with him whatsoever. And every time they use him, it's got to be weird and it's got to be altered, and they just don't do Hercules. At no point have we had a story with just Hercules in it after 9 years. But we got 5,000 Artorias, though. Right, we have like some of the most niche Japanese characters ever because they're running out of Japanese names. Right, they're literally running out of Japanese like mythology to pull from here. But we can't get Hercules, you know, or Heracles, however you want to say it. People get so mad about that. But look, you're Roman, okay? You don't get to get mad about this. You're Roman, you just don't realize it yet. And Hercules is a cooler name than Heracles. I'm just gonna say it, all right? It's a way cooler name, and everyone refers to him as Herc anyway, which shortens to Hercules a lot better than Heracles, so fuck right off, okay? We respect Romulus in this house. Thank you very much. I really should start calling Zeus, was Neptune? I just swallowed water down the wrong tube. God damn it. But yeah, we're all Jupiter. You're right, it's Jupiter. Excuse me. We've had this conversation before, but yes, it is Jupiter. I think Neptune is Poseidon. I think that's the one there. So many Japanese myths, and they chose the guy that serves tea. I mean, the thing is, if you look at the Nobunaga related stuff, I mean, they don't have a lot left. I mean, there is definitely some obscure generals and stuff, but I mean, that's, you know, that's Ricky Boy's stuff, so I'm not really expecting that to happen very often. This is what you get for calling us Romans. Look, that's not even an insult, all right? Also, I'm just gonna say it. A lot of the Roman versions of the stories are better. They're also better defined, also better documented, but that's kind of a time thing. But like Ares to Mars, Mars is way better. Way better. It's just a way better take on like the concept of war and everything else. Now, not all of them are like that, and there also aren't one-to-ones all the time, right? There's a lot of Greek stories that Romans just didn't take a stab at, right? I just feel like, though, the whole Roman Greek thing gets really unfairly treated. It's like a PR thing where everyone wants to like make fun of the Roman mythology because they're just copying Greek mythology. Surprise! So did everyone else. Like, are you kidding me? Do you guys realize how much of mythology is just copying other mythologies? It happens all of the time, right? Even Arthurian legend is made up of like the French like stealing it from the English, and then the English stealing it back, and then them stealing it back. That's how it evolves, right? and like all these like fucking mythologies that have like great floods. Have you heard of, you know, Babylonian stuff, right? They're blatantly copying it, right? And Greek mythology is copying it, by the way. Like the whole Gaia primordial chaos thing is blatantly ripping off fucking Tiamat and Abzu. Like, are you kidding me, right? It is so fucking similar. The whole, like, and then the other gods rising up and overthrowing them and everything. It is blatantly copying, right? Like, so, yes, maybe they're copying a little bit harder to detect, but it is so obvious that Greek mythology is copying the Sumerian stuff, right? Like, clearly, right? So who gives a fuck that the Romans are copying the Greek stuff? The thing is, there's more time in between Babylon and this Sumerian stuff, between it and Greek mythology, right? There's more time, and so there's other people in between, so it's more derivative because of that, right? It's less noticeable, right? Where the Roman to Greek, it's like one step, right? But whatever, most of the stuff that copied, like the direct links are lost to time with the Sumerian stuff, right? But if we saw those direct links, it'd be really obvious what's happening here, right? And it already is really obvious when you look at just how many parallels there are from the Epic of Gilgamesh and other Sumerian stuff to Egyptian mythology and even Christian stuff and Greek and everything. It's so obvious, right? So the Romans don't really deserve to be thrown under the bus like this. And actually, and some of this is biased, but I mean, or subjective, but most things are. I really like the interpretations and stuff that Romans did with a lot of the legends. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Where a lot of the other copies of, like, if you go all the way back to Sumerian stuff, I don't think they did a very good job with it. It's actually like really lame, a lot of the ways they changed it and whatnot and stuff. So yeah, I actually really like the Roman stuff. They're not being any different than any other mythology. Some of the only mythologies spared this fate is like Nordic mythology, because they were living on a fucked up island, right, for a really long time, separated from everybody, and they went war crazy, and you know, they made a pretty unique mythology, I'll put it that way. But then look, they came to Europe and everything, and they ended up influencing a lot of stuff, and then a lot of German stuff seems to be copying a lot of Nordic stuff in turn and all that. But the German stuff is still cool, right? So this is just how it goes, man. Yeah, this is just how it goes. Yeah, it's not just Nordic stuff. I know there are other pockets of humanity that were pretty separated from, like, the influence of Greek, which was ultimately coming from Sumerian stuff and all that. Like, it's not just Nordic stuff, but Nordic is a really good example, right? Because if you read a lot of the stuff in that region, right, that was like influenced a lot by the Babylonian stuff, right, you can really tell, right? They're kind of the same, what do you call it, of the same branch or whatever, leaf of the same branch, whatever the fuck, right? You could tell they're of the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? You can tell a lot of those, like, religions and myths and stuff are of the same cloth, right? And then you look at Nordic mythology and it's like, okay, this is pretty different. Yeah, cut from the same cloth. That's the right way of putting it, right? But yeah, then the Nordic stuff is really out there, so, like, Jesus. But yeah, I know a lot of South American stuff is really out there too, and it is pretty different, so. Yeah, a lot of Nordic stuff does have a lot of shared themes amongst itself, but actually what a lot of that is once they came to Europe, and then started influencing Europe, and then you have the versions from there that are all more derivative and whatnot. And that's most likely what happened with a lot of the German stuff. I don't think we know that for sure, but it does seem to be pretty likely that's the case. But it is possible that they came and then were influenced by the German stuff and incorporated that into their stories. That's totally possible, like, absolutely. But a lot of, like, the OG, like, some of the oldest stuff we have from Nordic mythology is you know, quite different from Sumerian stuff. Like, it really is, like, all the stuff with, like, Ragnarok and all that is fundamentally pretty different from, like, the Gaia chaos stuff and whatnot, right? I mean, there are similar themes, but that's because humans live in the same, you know, planet called Earth, are exposed to famine and death and war and all. So obviously they have similar things in that sense, but. So Australia and North America are interesting because they're more recent, right? But that's no reason to poo-poo on them though. But you know, they're more recent. Australia is a very weird thing in human history. I'll just say that. That is a location on Earth that has gone through some interesting things, and also has life forms on it that I don't ever want to run into. Like, I've been to Texas, and you know, there's some scary shit in Texas, but then you look at Australia, and it's like, that's a whole other level. Yeah, or it's actually just Australian. That's the thing. The Oort cloud is just Australia. It's space Australia. It makes complete sense now. All right. I don't think, no, it's not Jolter yet, but we're getting close. Like, we're about there. Might be the next stage. Chat, they really have scuffed South America in Fate. Imagine picking global mythology as your backbone of your franchise, being very successful because of that, and then being like, but if you're not from China or Japan, though, maybe Greece, we don't care. And they used to be so good. You know, obviously they didn't cover everything in the early days because they didn't have that many servants yet. But if you look at Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night and even APOC, and even Extra, right, the early stuff, they did not just cater to China and Japan. They didn't do that, right? Now they really do, though. So, yeah, it really sucks. And like Hungaria, like, remember that place? That existed. They ain't doing anything with that. Barely any Nordic stuff. Like, fuck all South American, Middle Eastern, which is Middle Eastern is like so influential on the global everything, right? And they just like, nope, we're not touching it. Nope, fuck you, right? None of that. Like Sinbad, nope, you can't have it. None of that. They give a little bit to Celtic, right? Not a lot. They don't really dig deep, right? They're not really getting into the gods and stuff, but you know, they touch on it a little bit. Actually, now that I think about it, they really don't do that. What they actually do with Celtic mythology, I just realized this. They basically just build around Ku, right? Because I mean, almost entirely that's what they've done. But the only exception being Diarmid, but then they build around him with Fionn, right? So they basically have Ku, right? Scath, right? And then other Scath, and then Fergus, right? And then Loth's dad, which, you know, Loth is Ku's dad. So they have like Ku's grandpa. So they have Ku's grandpa, Ku's master that's like obsessed with him, Ku's teacher that's obsessed with him, and then Fergus, which is like his stepdad, right? That's most of the Celtic stuff. So that's not great. That's not great. But yeah, Fionn is just built around Diarmid, right? So they're kind of just, that's like, they have Diarmid and, oh yeah, and Mev, right? Who's obsessed with Ku again. So yeah, they kind of just have built around Ku and then a little bit with Diarmid, and that's basically all that they've done with Celtic mythology, and that's a travesty. And then they somehow mixed it with Nordic stuff for some reason, and they're not the first game to do that, by the way, which I don't really know how the hell that happened, but there are some similarities between them, I guess, somewhat, but just purely coincidental. Yeah, I know, Ku is kind of a shonen protagonist. What are you gonna do? They actually kind of make fun of that in that Emiya cooking show, so. Well, I think Nasu likes, and he said this, he likes European mythology a lot. So I think he does understand that stuff decently well. Although now he says he's like bored with doing normal stuff, so he's just being weird to be weird. But I think he does have a decent understanding of like European mythology. At least when it comes to like France and England. And I think German too. But yeah, it's kind of, that's about it from what I've seen. They get, dude, I saw so, oh my God. And like people can like whatever they want. If you like a character, that's fine, right? It doesn't, I'm trying to think of an example. I don't know if I have one off the top of my head, but for example, let's say, what's a legend I don't really care about? I don't know, maybe some Japanese character, right? Let's say, we'll use, Mori's not a great example, but let's pretend Mori is like done a little bit differently, because like they actually did a pretty good job with Mori, I would say, maybe outside of like the first stage not being era specific, but there's a reason for that. But anyway, but let's say Mori did not represent like what he was based on at all, right? Like what he actually is based on, he was battle crazy, but then liked tea and, you know, could be reasonable outside of combat and stuff, right? So they actually did all that stuff right. But let's say that's not accurate. Let's say real life Mori just has absolutely nothing in common with the Mori we got. Like Shooten, right? Shooten has nothing in common with the story she's based on. It's actually fucking ridiculous. But anyway, so let's say Mori, a character I really like, was, you know, like a disgrace to the source material. All I would say is, you know what? I get it. I get why people that liked the actual Mori don't like this thing, and I agree that there was no reason for this character to be Mori. This could have been like an OC, like Imiya or Chloe or whatever, and I would have liked it just as much. But I do like the character because it happens to be an archetype I like, or I like the voice actor, or the designer, or whatever. So I like the character, but I totally accept that this is stupid and it's nothing to do with Mori. And because I like this OC like version of the character, I wouldn't have cared if it was named Mori or not, right? It doesn't matter. It could be, you know, whoever. A lot of people don't want to do that though, right? Like with Oprah and stuff. A lot of people just can't do that, right? If they're biased to the point where it's like, if I like this thing, I have to defend it. But back on point, I saw this guy saying what he likes about Fate, and he was trying to act like they do this on purpose, which I don't believe this for a second, especially when you look at Fate Stay Night, Fate Zero, APOC, Fate Strange Fake. They don't do this. But he was like, I really liked how Fate, you know, takes a character from mythology and then tries to like build on them based on like some obscure facts that most people don't really know, and that's why they're so strange and stuff like that. That's not what they're doing. That's not what they're doing. They just make their stupid OC and they look for like a weird thing in the character's history to like justify why they're gender bent or whatever. Like that's all they're fucking doing. They don't give a fuck. Give us the Musketeers already. They might give us the Musketeers through Dumas, right? We shall see. By the way, they actually have done a really good job with Dumas, I think, in Fate Strange Fake so far. Because if you look at what a lot of people have said about Dumas, like the writings of his friends and stuff, people that talked about him, they pretty much said he was like very larger than life, very boisterous, you know, very exaggerating and whatnot. But then the people that knew him on a personal level, right, he was like he was a great friend. He'd be very helpful. He would go to bat for you, right, and that kind of thing. So, and they've kind of gotten that in Fate Strange Fake, I think. Your first impression of him is he's like, you know, really boisterous and over the top and ridiculous and very worldly, right, and all that kind of stuff. But then he really goes to bat for like John and everything, right? So I think they're doing that on purpose, right? But that writer actually does his research, right? So I think that's why they've done a good job so far. Yeah, fucking Morgan. Oh man. That's one people are gonna defend to the death because they just like Morgan so much. But then you look, it's like, what the fuck does this have to do with Morgan at all? Yeah, I really hate what they did. God, they really have been so mean to North America. Like, it's not just America, it's Canada, Mexico, all of it. They've done such a bad job with everything North American related. Dumas actually is kind of becoming my favorite character in Fate Strange Fake. Like, I don't say that lightly because I really like a lot of the characters in Fate Strange Fake, but I really like Alexander Dumas, and I really like, you know, his works in real life, and I think they've done a great job of like making him in an anime form. I think they did an excellent job. So yeah, we'll see as the story goes on and stuff. I've been really surprised though how much I've liked Dumas. I don't want them to do the Civil War, the American Civil War. I've talked about this many times. If I could ever veto something, it would be that, because it will cause so much drama and controversy. And I'm gonna be frank, most Americans are just such fucking idiots. They know nothing about their own Civil War. They do not understand any of the nuance. They don't understand any of it. It's the most complicated event that ever happened in American history, and no one in America understands anything about it. And it's so divisive, and everyone freaks out. Everyone gets so emotional about it, and everyone's an idiot. It's a bunch of people that know nothing about it getting emotional about it and screaming at each other. It is this. I do not want them to touch anything to do with it. It's a fascinating event. It has many fascinating people, and like there's so much you could do with it, but do not touch it with a 10-foot pole, right? Like, there's so much interesting stuff you could do with it, but for the love of God, don't. Just don't. It will be so bad. Yeah, just don't do it. But yeah, it's an unfortunate thing, but it is what it is. I would love them to do more stuff with the native tribes, though. There's so much you could do with that. Like, holy hell. That's another one, though, I think people are going to be too emotional about now, though. Also, I will say, this is a problem with a lot of media. And hell, I think it's a problem with some natives today. You know, I'm not going to say everyone, because I'm not going to generalize like that, but a lot of native culture gets generalized into one group, and it's not, right? And that's kind of the point. The different tribes are very different from each other, and they have very different histories from each other, and they behaved very differently, right? Some of them were horrible, tyrannical jackasses, and some of them were not, right? Some of them were awesome, right? Some of them were, you know, mystical, and some of them weren't, right? Like, just like all humans, they ran the spectrum, right? And media has a tendency of trying to paint them on, put them all under the same umbrella, right? The media has a very bad tendency of doing that, and I think they do them a real disservice because of that. There's a lot to their culture, and a lot of bad and a lot of good, right? Just like any other culture. And yeah, people generally either try to paint them as all savages and horrible, or all benevolent and wonderful, and they're neither of these things, right? It's a lot more complicated than that. But it is a very fascinating culture, and it's got a very, you know, rich history. And it's a shame that they get thrown under the bus so much. And especially from Japan. Japan just couldn't give, they just don't care. That's the main thing. They just don't care about it, right? They're not interested in it. Yeah, they've mentioned like shamanism, and like they're kind of like this independent like version of Magecraft that's kind of like separate from the rest of Magecraft and Fate, and that's cool. And that's very fitting for their place in history and whatnot. But yeah, they don't really do anything with it. I really would like them though to branch out and like put some effort into some of these other regions, because they're pretty ignored, and there's so much fun stuff there. It's like, why not use this stuff? And then Lost Belt 7 was interesting with them like doing the whole supercontinent thing. You know, they kind of wasted a lot of potential there though. Carthage would be interesting. I don't think they're gonna do much with that though. They should, but that'd be really interesting actually. They should do more Roman stuff though. Roman, like it or not, man, Rome is one of the absolute most influential civilizations that has ever existed. It is insane how much they shaped the world. And they have a very, very, very rich history, and there's so much you can do with their stuff, both mythological and just historical, that unfortunately they get used as like a meme. And it's fine to have like some jokes and stuff. I think a lot of the Romulus memes are actually in like good faith generally, or don't take away. They're not like NTR jokes with Lancelot, right? So I don't think that's a problem. But there's so much more you can do with the Roman stuff. And like fucking Caesar, god damn, man, you know, Julius Caesar. This might be it. I should probably watch the cutscene to know when we have Jolter's stuff here. Chat, when I was making the Camelot Scuffed Experience video, I was trying to find like footage, like Roman stuff for like that part where Mordred becomes Roman, right? I basically wanted it to be like Roman propaganda type footage, right? And I couldn't find shit, man. It was so hard to find stuff that worked for that. Give me like a proper Roman, like there's been they used to make a lot of Roman movies back in the day, but they don't really do that anymore, and there's no like Roman anime or any of that shit. So I really could not find much footage for that, unfortunately. Okay, I think this is the Jolter part. Yep, there she is. Imagine making this art and then not using it in any meaningful way. I don't understand, dude. They did that with Kojiro too, though. I'm not too surprised they haven't touched Genghis Khan, because in the West, it's not really a hot topic, but in the East, it still kind of is in a way. Not as much so as, you know, like the American Civil War or something. It's not the equivalent of that, but it is still more of a thing, so. All right, we want to do as little damage as possible. So archers make sense. Wait, no, 2030 will make us crit. Railed, but that'll have to work. We gotta really show off the, you know what? We need Lancer Tam. I did that when I was recording stuff for this, which I don't know if I'll ever use, but Lancer Tam, it's really hard to get Jolter to do her NP, because if you break the bar, the fight ends, and she doesn't have a lot of health. So Tam will help because you can give the enemy a NP tick. So that's a pretty big help, honestly. All right, and then we just need a bunch of archers so we don't do good damage. And then just in case, if something has miraculously gone wrong, we'll have a saber back there. Or maybe just like mash. That'll do. Good enough. All right, before we show off the catastrophe that is the Jolter situation right now, I wish I had Jolter, because I could show their sprites next to each other, because that's what I did on my main account. But let me get water and stuff real quick here, chat. Oh, that took longer than I intended. My apologies, chat. Although while I was away, chat, I realized that FGO has fallen so far that there's no level of stupidity that we're surprised by anymore. Like, no one's surprised by this event and how, like, fucking lackluster it is and how, like, little was added and there's no quality of life worth a shit or any. No one is surprised by any of this. Right, why did these have to be Lancers right off the rip, by the way? That's not great for us. But it's like, yeah, there's no account system, there's no animation updates, there's no buffs, there's very few new units, there's a lot of scuffed sprite work, you know, it's all of the, there's no story replay, there's, yeah, it's all, we're used to this, right? It's all dog shit. But yeah, we know, it is, it's dumb, we got it. Yeah, no one was surprised that there was no Jolter animation update. Because y'all remember, so they did the Tesla animation update, right? And then, so we're like, yeah, they're doing animation updates like they normally do. And then as other events are rolling out, it's like, oh, I bet you this character is going to get their animation update. Right, like how like Blackbeard got his animation update in that one summer event, and then, you know, Tesla got it in Tesla Fest and all that. So you're like, oh yeah, so now this character is going to get it, right? And then they didn't. Like, huh, that's kind of weird. And then it's like, oh, so this character is going to get an animation update, and then they didn't. And it's been like that for 2 years now, or a year and a half, or whatever. Or they're just not doing animation updates. So now we're just used to it. It's like, yep, Billy the Kid's really prominent in this event. But, yeah, he's obviously not going to get an animation update because no one else is. So, oh, Leonidas? Yep, no animation. Dude, it blows. It blows. It was one of my favorite things in FGO. Finally seeing the original characters, you know, getting, like, proper animations to, like, show them off and what they can do and whatnot. And getting a chance in the spotlight and stuff. And, yeah, now we don't, get any of that. It's fucking lame. Might as well do this attack up. He should wear off by the time we get to Jolter, although maybe not. Might have made a mistake here. Uh-oh. Might need to slow down our damage a little bit. Need to not foobar Jolter. Thought I just killed 2 here. Perfect. It can't be worse. It was worse. Yep. I know what you're talking about when DW got bought out. And okay, Cairo even keeps saying this. People keep saying like Lizangle is DW. It's not, right? A lot of DW quit. The lead creative dev quit, right? Like Lizangle is not DW. They're absolutely not. There's a few like token people like Tucson and stuff, but it's like for the most part, it's not the same. And the leadership like is completely different because now Sony and Type Moon are like completely running the show, where before they were like halvesies. But anyway, you know, let's not act like DW was doing a good job. They were doing horrible, right? They were still barely like, even though they were doing more than Lizangle is, because they were at least doing animation updates and they added more new characters and they had more events and they actually reran things and stuff like that. That's a really low bar. That's not a lot of stuff. Right, they were still barely doing anything, right? They were still phoning in events really hard. You know, it was still shit, right? DW was bad, and yeah, I remember when they changed, it was so bad under DW that's why everyone said, well, it can't really get any worse, right? It's just, yeah, it did actually get worse, and they actually can do less. I really feel this way though. I legitimately thought that in order to do less than DW, because I knew you could do less. I knew you could not do animation updates and never do quality of life and add events even slower. I knew you could be worse. But I legitimately thought that to be that bad, it would just be completely unacceptable. And, you know, even they wouldn't be able to get away with that. But that's not the case. So this is literally just Jolter, except instead of a sword, it's this lance, and she has it out all the time, but this lance does the attack animations of the sword, and this lance does the attack animations of the spear. So, and they never had an unsheath animation anyway. I'm pretty sure the sword just appeared out of nowhere and that kind of thing. So, yeah, nothing really changed. Okay, well, we can give her a quick charge, which is actually really awesome. Speeds us up quite a bit here. And then now we want to do as little damage as possible. So at least when Gilgamesh had this treatment, They did give him a new attack animation, but, you know, never got an animation update, never got a sprite update, and he got a different NP, although it was lazy, but it was something. They did not put even that much work into Jalter here, which we will see in a moment. Oh, nope, no, quick bad. As little quick as possible, but that Buster's bad too, and I don't want a rainbow chain. I just can't believe this character is being treated this way. It's so weird. She's part of Samurai Remnant. Her like base version from this game is really popular, but this is what we get. Like, look, it's just regular Jalter. Why would you ever hold a spear like that, by the way? Like, not like how it is now, but the way she does that stab, but it's because it's supposed to be a sword, right? It just makes no goddamn sense. Well, we definitely succeeded at doing very little damage. Gonna have to rainbow chain here, though. Just her extra attack. Now, there is a chance. By the way, that attack doesn't even make sense anymore. Like, with the new context of, like, it being regular Joan of Arc, but acting emo, right? For, like, her master's sake and all that. That just doesn't make any goddamn sense anymore. But, whatever. So, like, if Jalter's not going to get an animation update, though, I mean, nobody is. Like, nobody is. Now, what some people have said, and I said this before I saw this. I said it's possible that they'd pull a Kojiro and hide the animation update. Because they did that with Kojiro in Epic of Remnant. But the thing is, this is different. Now that I've seen this, I don't think that anymore. Now, I hope that's still the case somehow. But the thing with Kojiro is you didn't see him until the final boss fight, right? Where now we've already seen this. So if they wanted to make, so this is Jalter's original sprite, right? Just very lightly modified, right? They added the spear, changed this from the flag, and then changed the colors, right? Which that's not loads of work, but it is some work, right? If you were, why would you put in the effort to customize Jalter's old sprite if you're getting rid of her old sprite, right? So let's say there was a Jalter animation update, and then you make this a costume for it or something, right? You're not going to make these alterations, this alternate Jalter, for new Jalter sprite and old Jalter sprite, right? They're not going to do that. So yeah, I think Jalter's fucked. And it sucks because obviously this character makes very little sense with the whole her not actually being Jalter, but being Jalter, right? It's all fairly dumb. But if you just get a costume for regular Jalter where she uses a spear instead of a flag, that's cool. I've always said that Jalter's flag is really dumb and out of place and looks really stupid on the sprite. So if we got this as a costume, that'd be great, right? If she gets an animation update of this for like regular Jalter, that'd be awesome, right? But no. Nope, you can't, we can't, that's such a low ask, by the way, right? Oh god, I think you have to actually break this health bar. I didn't even realize. Well, let's see if they can pull it off. But anyway, that is such a low ask, and yeah, we can't even have such a basic bitch thing. All right, let's see how much damage the archers can pull off here. I think we're still in slow-mo. Like, and Jalter is so popular, right? I just, how can you not be asked to give Jalter an animation update? And like, if they rated up Jalter, or they made a new, if they made this a new 5-star, right? Obviously with better animations, but obviously looks very similar to regular Jalter. But if she was her own unique character, people would roll on it. Like, you bet your ass they would. The one thing that would make people mad, and rightfully so, is if they added this as a new character and then didn't give regular Jalter an animation update. That would make people mad. But if you gave regular Jalter an animation update and then you made this a new character separate, I don't think anyone would care. I do think the best way to do it, though, is a costume, and you, like, make slightly different attack animations for the spears. I know some people out there in the online world, though, really are still holding out that she's going to be in the part 2 banner and things like that. And I'm like, brother, I wish you the best, but I do not think you've been paying attention to FGO recently. Yeah, I don't think there is going to be a part 2. I don't think so. And if there is, it's only one character, and it's probably some brand new thing that wasn't in the Remnant. It's like it's gonna be some hidden final boss. Like, oh, you thought this was the boss, but this is actually the final boss. And yeah, I don't. At most, there's one more character. At most, and I would not be surprised if there's not even that. Yeah, watch them just rerun Musashi. By the way, chat, does anyone... I've only read a few scenes, the translations. I haven't read everything, because I honestly just don't care, but I have read a few scenes. But, what have they said about Musashi? Like, do the main cast... Because, like, do they confirm that, like, this is after Lost Belt 5? Because they mentioned how, like, Musashi's supposed to be super dead. And they're like, oh, this is a completely different one, right? Like, what do they say? Like, surely they mentioned something. Either that or they just ignore it and then try to act like it's before Lost Belt 5. I don't know. But does anyone know? I have not, like I said, I have not read every scene, so. Well, I'm pretty sure in Semi-Remnant, it's a different Musashi, though, isn't it? Also, why didn't they just chat? Oh my god. Never mind FGO. Okay, we'll get to FGO in a second. Let's put FGO aside. Why, for fuck's sakes, in Fate Samurai Remnant, did they not just use the male Musashi that they have mentioned so many times? Right, I get it, Musashi's popular, but that doesn't matter because it's like she's already in the... Like, they've already gotten so much money off of her, and the whole point is to, like, do new things, right? Or, like, alternate takes on characters. And we have Arthur and Artoria, so why don't we just get male Musashi? Why that was the perfect opportunity to use male Musashi. Like, that was literally the most perfect opportunity to do it. And they're just like, no. Nope, he gets mentioned again, and then he's not actually in it. Like, every other fucking time. Right, like, and like right now, you realize how awesome this Fate Samurai collab could be? I don't even like weeb stuff that much, but it's like they could be using male Musashi right now, right? Because the female one's super dead, right? Because of Lost Belt 5, right? Like that'd be so cool, right? Like, Jesus Christ, dude. Yep, he is kind of like Hercules. All right, I think this is like a filler fight where they use the caster, master guy or whatever, and but he's a giant ghost or whatever the fuck. And you can't really lose the fight, and of course you can't move them, so you have to use them. I'll just bring someone that's like generic, good AoE here. I mean, there's Gil. That'll do. Yeah, every single fight's a filler fight. That's why I didn't make a video. I mean, there's just nothing to make a video on. It's all boring crap. I'm tired of trying to make videos and act like content is worth... I mean, actually, I really never have. If content's not worth my time, I never have. But I make less videos because there's less content worth your time. Which kind of blows, because I've really been in the mood to make some videos, but... Oh, well... Yeah, I know the dude Musashi would have worked way better. You don't have to use the old version, though. You can use him in his prime if it's a servant or whatever, right? You can do whatever you want. I'd probably prefer the old guy version, but I'm fine with whatever. So is she still nerfed? Because I know in Fate Samurai Remnant, because she's like summoned in a weird way, and like because she like pseudo alters herself, she's like way nerfed. Like, she's like the weakest servant in there. So, even though normally Joan of Arc's really strong. But I wonder if it's still like that in this. Yeah, at this point, we don't really get much outside of main story that's worth a damn. Sometimes the challenge quests are good. I'd say about 50% of the challenge quests are good. But that's only one stage, right? That's not a lot. Really exciting content right here. I'll NP when they taunt. That's the thing. Do any of these fuckers make stars? Not really, no. Whatever, I'm sure they can still get it here, right? Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I know this fight is really dumb. Like giant ghost with no health. Just gotta proc the guts here, then the taunt, and then LOL, we AoE. I probably could have actually killed him right there, I just realized. Ghost getting an animation update though. That was a while ago, but still. Oh, they didn't taunt. I know they can taunt. Well, you're fucked now. I know. Imagine adding a bunch of new servants in a new video game and then not adding any of them into this game. They added 2 masters, one of which wasn't even like servant-esque, right? And then they added an Avenger alternate version of the other character that's not even in the game. Like they literally are using Ushigozen that's not from Samurai Remnant, right? It's like, what the fuck? Like different design, different class, and then like different origin and everything, right? Like what the fuck, dude? So weird. I'm just glad this didn't happen to APOC, dude. Like imagine if all this time we had like Achilles, but he's a Lancer, and it's just a completely different like design, and then you just don't get Rider Achilles from actual APOC. Like what the fuck? Like that'd be so lame. Yeah, there's Vlad. Yeah, never really been happy with that one. I made a video about that. That was one of my favorite videos to make, by the way. Like I had so much fun making that video. Okay, whatever. I don't even care. I think we're time gated now. I really hope Fate Strange Fate Collab is not this bad. We still have some time, so hopefully they get their shit together, but man, I don't know if they have any, like, I think Sony and like Type Moon are happy with the way the game is being ran right now, which is just absurd. I guess we'll see, but they're not showing any signs of trying to improve this crap. Oh yeah, and this is a mission-based event. Oh god. Which missions are only exist to just waste an insane amount of your time. That's all they're there for. They just, the other events, if you don't want to, you don't have to farm that much. Where mission events, you absolutely, if you want to do the challenge quest and get the final like story node and all that, and like the welfare NPs and stuff, you just have to farm way more than usual, right? Like the bare minimum is just way higher, and it's fucking sucks. FCO does make a lot of money, but they are not making as much. Like, they are making a lot. They're making more than most game companies out there, but they don't make as much as they used to. I don't know why I just did that. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. Well, this is probably going to be incredibly easy to 3-turn. Well, I actually don't think FGO is a top 5 earner. You got to understand, those earnings reports that like people post online are lacking so much data. Now, because in almost all of the data that's lacking, if it was included, would make FGO go down. So anything PC related is not on there, and FGO doesn't have any PC related money, right? So every bit of money FGO makes is on there, but every bit of money everyone else makes is not on there, right? So anything, so actually there is one thing that does hurt FGO, but it hurts other games more, most likely. So anything like Chinese related is not reported. Now FGO is in China, but I'm fairly confidently would say that like the Chinese games they're in competition with do better in China than FGO does. And then like anything PC related, it's not on there, and FGO again doesn't have any PC related stuff, things like that. So basically all it reports is Android sales and Apple sales in regions that aren't China, right? That's all it reports. So that misses a lot of like alternate like you know payment methods and stuff that people do use, and again PC stuff and so on and so forth. So a lot of data is missing there. And again, most of their competition is actually big in China. So I doubt they're actually in the top 5. I really do. I think they're close. I think they're certainly in the top 10, and they're certainly making a lot of money, regardless of other people making more money than them. But yeah, I think the CCP censors FGO on purpose, though. I mean, that's pretty common. 1 second, chat. I got some food cooking, and I gotta check on it real quick. I hunger. What really annoys me though is Samurai Remnant chat has unfortunately sparked a resurgence of defending FGO, very much so. Like for these last few months, pretty much anything I saw in both JP and NA pertaining to FGO were negative, and the player base was getting sick of this shit. But you know, this is bringing a lot of people out of the woodwork for the new stuff and their waifu or whatever. And I am seeing a lot of defense. I'm still, of course, seeing a lot of people unhappy with the state of FGO, clearly. But I have seen a lot of people trying to play apologists for Lizangle. Sorry, I took too big of a bite, so I'm still chewing. Excuse me. Look, when you're hungry, all right? I'm not gonna lie, Fate Samurai Remnant does not look like a very good game to me. It basically looks like they took a combat system from a Dynasty Warriors game and tried to put it into an action game. And it's meh. Yeah, I watched some of the boss fights and I was like, man, this just doesn't look like that great. And the combat system looks really floaty and just like bare minimum. Yeah, I probably will buy it when it is heavily discounted on Steam, and I'll probably get around to it, but I guess it doesn't really matter what I summon here. I'm convinced they swapped Collab and OC2 because they needed time for OC2 to be finished. That would not surprise me. That would explain why this feels so lackluster. And normally there is main story in like December, and it's weird that they didn't do that. Like they're normally pretty big on trying to do a main story like around Christmas, end of the year, that kind of thing. But they didn't do shit, so this does feel like they had like a scheduling issue. Well, FGO is very different than Remnant because FGO is like an ongoing thing, Remnant is not. And I don't think Remnant would work very well if they tried to make it an ongoing thing. And like, FGO has a lot of shit, and I mean a lot of shit. But it does have its moments, you know, it does occasionally make boss fights that are very good. Like, very, very good. Some of the main story boss fights, like with Zeus and stuff, are great. Sometimes the challenge quests are good. Like, when FGO actually puts in the effort, which is rare, but when they do, it's generally a really good experience. But the average quality of FGO nowadays is incredibly low. Kind of embarrassingly so. I don't know how many of these free quests I'll actually do. I apologize, I'm not talking a lot. I'm eating, which is rude, I know, but I'm really, really hungry. Imagine if they added story replay and like a challenge mode for the major boss fights and stuff like that. Be great. I wonder how many times you have to actually do these fucking stages, man. Jesus. I don't know why they don't do rank ups and shit anymore. Weird. It's very low effort, and they can't even do that anymore. Like, that doesn't make sense. Man, I would love FGO to death if it was more like Arknights in terms of like game philosophy. Now, I don't want it to be like Arknights in terms of like one-to-one gameplay or, you know, aesthetic or any of that. But just like the equality and like them adding new game modes and, you know, improving things. Where's the money going? Nasu's third yacht. I'm sure Sony takes quite a bit too. You would just think though, when you're making this much money, you would want to invest at least some of it into like some really competent devs to help run it, because they don't really have a lot of industry veterans working for them. It's mostly like college kids. I'm not kidding. You have a tiny development team. Like, they should pay top dollar. Even if you want to keep the team small, you want that to be a team of, you know, really good devs. $20K HP boss. I'm so scared. I like how when Arknights does UI updates, they're actually good. Like that enemy screen UI update was amazing. So good, so smooth and easy to read. They made it retroactive for all the old bosses and everything. Fantastic. And then F goes like adds filters for filters and buried under, you know, a million UI clicks, and it's slow and sluggish and shit. And they gave an animation update to the mailbox. I wish I wasn't kidding about that one. I am never gonna forget that. Yeah, isn't NA about to hit the Lizangle era? Like they're getting pretty close. Good luck. Like, there's a reason I don't stream this game as much anymore. It's just too painful, man. It's also like embarrassing, dude. I hate to say that, but like this game's fucking embarrassing now. Like, I used to be able to be like, no, man, I don't spend thousands of dollars on this game. And look at these cool boss fights you can do, right? Like, there's actually a fun game here. And I actually got a bunch of people that didn't like phone games to play FGO, and they actually enjoyed it back in the day. They've all quit now, though, because the game doesn't have any fucking boss fights anymore, and it's all... And they really enjoyed it. Until they got done with the main story, and then they were like, oh god. Good old Plants vs. Zombies, man. That was a great game. Alright. Not much else to talk about, though, with this piece of shit collab. We do this free quest. Then we either play Arknights or Elden Ring. I don't know why I cast that. Cheap event. Man, that stage though I did with 3 stars, man, that was hard. But yeah, I do need to play that event. It has actual gameplay in it, so. Crazy concept. We're over here fighting a cat with 41k HP. I can't believe though people actually think that they're gonna like there's like still Jolter stuff to come, and I don't know, maybe there is, but man, I don't have any reason to think that. Achilles, you are so loud, buddy. Is there like a data mine that I'm unaware of? Because otherwise it just seems like outrageous hopium going on. No. So yeah, they're just crazy. A worthy stage for Aya, yeah, I know, right? I hate mission events so much. They're so slow, dude. Way more farming, it's way more clicking. So frustrating. Really exciting gameplay right here, chat. Aren't you enthralled? Listening to the same voice line from this NPC over and over again. Like, whose idea was this? Like, holy hell. Oh my god. You want to say it again? Out. So ridiculous. Bones are always nice. I'm gonna go ahead and buy those so I don't forget. Alright, chat. I think it's time for a little Arc Knights. We'll play the sheep event, see how that goes. If you're only here for FGO, my apologies for being a fan of FGO. It's rough. Good luck. You have hard times ahead. If you're an NA player right now, I really... Any NA gamers in chat that like don't play JP? Because, boy, do I feel sorry for you. It's all downhill from here. Although you still have Tesla Fest. That was, technically under Lizangle, but it was like so... It was obviously being worked on by DW, right? Because they have to work on these things in advance. That's a lot of NA players. Yeah, good luck. I'm pretty sure you guys... This will tell you how bad it is. The interludes you guys have right now, maybe with the exception of like one, but as far as I'm aware, you are in the exact same boat we are. Like we are at the same amount of interludes as each other, even though we're 2 years ahead of you. So yeah, like you might have like literally one more set of interludes or something, but and then same for animation updates. We all have the same animations on both versions because it's been that long. Yeah, same pretty much for quality of life updates. Nothing meaningful has happened. They added autofill, which is the worst feature ever. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, you have really nothing to look forward to. You have a lot of dead weeks, a lot of really boring events. You do have Ort, right? You still haven't done Lost Belt 7 yet, though. That's good. Legitimately, Lost Belt 7 is pretty good. It's not as hard as maybe I would like. But then there's the Boss Gauntlet, too. The Boss Gauntlet was good. Not replayable for some reason. It's replayable for like the week it released, and then when the week was up, you couldn't replay it anymore. And it was literally just on the free quest map. So I have no idea why they did that. So stupid. But yeah, the Boss Gauntlet is good. Lost Belt 7's good. And then everything else is dog shit. So good luck. Anyways, chat, I'm gonna take a quick break here to switch over to Arc Knights. And again, if you're only here for FGO, thank you for hanging out. Sheep. Put that as the stream title, because that's what we're about to fight. If you haven't seen Arc Knights before, this is like a joke event, apparently. One of the silliest things I've actually ever seen in the game. Pretty whack. Alright, need to switch this over. Yada yada technical stuff. Big fella, yeah. This is definitely a filler event on Arc Knights, but it has decent gameplay so far, so I don't mind. Alright, I think I've done everything right here. Let me just reset the stream so the VODs are separated, and I will see you guys in 5 seconds.